Yeah.
Someone need to talk to you before Tuesday.
Okay.
To get an idea, well, as soon as possible.
Okay.
Just get them go. Did you get the city email, Jack?
Yeah.
About
So,
from the other troop?
there's a couple.
I already told John.
You know, and again, there was...
Mr. Clerk. What about 191?
Just at the very beginning, when you call for resolutions, before you ask people what they want to call about, recognize him, make a motion.
Mr. Brown, did you hear that? Mr. Brown, excuse me. Huh? Yeah, we're removing it.
Make a motion.
Well, when? When I do it, remove it.
When he first calls for resolutions, before he starts,
So you gotta jump in.
the first thing is just make a motion.
Where you been, man?
Lost?
Let's get going. Let's take our seats, please. Thank you.
Damn, my seat is cold.
Good evening, everybody. Everyone. It's April 17th, 2012. Notice of this meeting stating the date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The meeting's called to order. Mr. Clerk, please conduct the flag and flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. In the event of an emergency, the proper method for exiting the chambers is through the 3 rear doors in the back of the room. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front door, and move away from the area of the front steps. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting, please sign in on the sign-in sheets in the front of the room. Please turn off all cell phones, and if you must take a call, leave the chambers to do so. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Kalbas.
Here.
Koziel. Here. Brown.
Here.
Armstead.
Here.
Crosby Hurling.
Here.
Sadowski.
Here.
Sheehy.
Here.
Yamikaitis.
Here.
Frazier.
Here.
Kaczynski.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here. We have a presentation this evening. I would like to ask Councilman Kaczynski and the mayor. To make the presentation. Thank you, Chief, for coming down also.
It's always a pleasure to present a resolution to someone at a public council meeting, but it's a double pleasure when we get to recognize ConocoPhillips, who's been a neighbor in the city of Linden for over 100 years, and I have to say a very generous neighbor who's always contributing for various benefits, whether it be in our school system or our city government. And we have here 2 representatives, well, actually 1 representative of ConocoPhillips and a former representative. Mary, would you please come up as a representative of ConocoPhillips? Mary Phillips? No relation or no major stockholder. And then we have Al Kralovich, Mike Kralovich, excuse me.
All right, Mike.
I always call him Al. Mike, former ConocoPhillips government representative. How long were you here, Mike? 38 years, and again, an excellent friend of the city of Linden. And we're here to present them with this award for, again, taking care of us and our fire department. And I just want to give this mic over to Chief Rizzo to say a quick word or two as to what the proclamation is for.
we were in kind of a bind. We were looking for a new device to use to teach kids and adults fire safety. And we had, at one time, about 20 years ago, we had purchased a robot that's in the form of a small fire truck that many of you probably saw at the fire prevention night that we have every year. Well, that robot, we wore it out. So we were looking for a new one, and we had mentioned it to ConocoPhillips and Mary and Mike, and they were great enough to come up with the funding for us. So that's what we're here for, saying thank you to them for helping us to help the people of Linden, and especially the kids, learn about fire safety.
As the fire chair of Linden now, I would also say in a time of budget constraints like this, it's something that comes out that really shows how the private industry and the government is working together for the benefit of many citizens and children. And it's a truly honor to read this resolution thanking Bayway. So, whereas, in an effort to promote fire safety in the city of Linden, the Linden Fire Department has used various instructional tools, including robotic devices, and whereas one such tool was Freddy the Fire Truck, which was an exciting tool for teaching fire safety and presented a positive and friendly image to young and old alike through its ability to speak, listen, move about, wink, blink, move his eyes, and squirt water, and whereas, due to the age of the current robotic device purchased in 1991, there existed a need to replace said equipment. However, due to budgetary constraints imposed by the economic times we live in, funds were unavailable through the normal budgetary methods. And whereas the Bayway Refinery became aware of the problem facing the Linden Fire Department and its need to replace this piece of equipment in order to effectively teach fire safety to thousands of Linden's residents, and whereas through the efforts of Michael Karlovich and Mary Phillips of Bayway Refinery, the Bayway Refinery offered to pay the total cost of replacing Freddy and all of the accessories needed in the amount of $9,014. And whereas the Bayway Refinery has once again demonstrated that they are a responsible and generous corporate citizen to the city of Linden. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Linden expresses their thanks to the Bayway Refinery for once again stepping up by providing the funds to replace Freddy for the benefit of the residents of Linden, and be it further resolved that a special thank you be extended to Michael Karlovich and Mary Phillips for their part in helping to secure these funds, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be placed in the minutes of the City Council of the City of Linden and be appropriately presented to Bayway Refinery, Michael Karlovich, and Mary Phillips. Signed, President of Council James Moore and Mayor Richard J. Gabunka.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And say something more.
I just want to say, on behalf of the Bayway Refinery, I am pleased to accept this resolution. This is really a very nice honor for us. I know that Bayway, over the many years, has had a very good working relationship with the city, with the citizens, with the schools, with the fire department. And I want to say thank you especially to Deputy Chief Callahan, because without his hard work, he actually helped with this and saw it through. It wouldn't have happened, right, Tom? So thank you for that, and thank you to everyone who is involved. It's our pleasure to be able to do this for you guys.
Thank you. Although I'd like to just depart for a moment, because I actually did retire in January. Actually, it was effective in March after 38 years at the refinery. You know, as I look around the room, I see Joe over here. I see Judy Westcott, who I went to high school with. You know, Walter, Al. I mean, you know, and the members of the council, the mayor, chief, just so many folks here. And you know, and I went and took another job with some folks from Bayway. I want to tell you, it's good to be back here tonight. I came down purposely just to be here, because there is a really close working relationship between Bayway and the city, and it's an important working relationship, and especially our bond with the fire department. You know, Chief Rizzo, Deputy Chief Callahan serve on our community advisory panel, and we appreciate that. Chief Bavona on the far end is also on it. And that relationship helps to, you know, fulfill these kind of promises, right, which we made last year. And, you know, now that I say it, you know, this is a great thing for kids in the city of Linden, because the old firebug thing, right? They're going to get the matches out or whatever, light the mattress on fire. And you look at this thing, you're going to see in a minute, it's really wonderful. And I'm pleased to have just been able to be part of it, and we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Welcome, Freddie.
Yeah, that's probably the most important person with this presentation here, Freddie the Fire Robot.
Turn this way.
Not every kid at home is going to have one.
I know, pretty good.
It's bigger than I thought it was.
You wanted one.
I think one was a garbage can.
Thank you.
That's how you got me in trouble.
That was a very unique visitor. We appreciate that. Approval of the minutes of the public meeting on March 20th, 2012. Motion, please.
That's me. I'd like to approve the minutes of March 20th, 2012, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colibus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance on hearing. This is the date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance on hearing. Ordinance 5616.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 5, Animal Control, Dogs Running at Large, shall be amended as follows. Delete Section 5-1.9, add new 5-1.9A, 5-1.9B.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I ask that the hearing be closed and ordinance 5616 be adopted and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colibus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance 5617.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-10, Parking prohibited at all times on certain streets shall be amended as follows. 7-10, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets. Delete Style Street, both sides, from Valley Road to Cranford City Line.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I ask that the hearing be closed and that ordinance 5617 be adopted and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colibus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance 5618.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 10, Building and Housing shall be amended as follows. Amend elevator subcode fees and certificate of occupancy fees for two-family dwellings.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I ask that hearing be closed and that ordinance 5618 be adopted and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kosiel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance 5619.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, shall be amended as follows. Section 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on Street, add 146 Cedar Avenue, 2200 East Edgar Road. One spot. That one is on McGilvery Place for 2126 East Edgar Road.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
I move to close the public hearing of ordinance 56-19 and request the second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kosiel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance 5620.
Bond ordinance authorizing the resurfacing of various streets and appropriating $440,000 and authorizing the issuance $418,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and ordinance 5620 be adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus? Kosiel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance 5621.
Bond ordinance authorizing the resurfacing of DeWitt Terrace and Southwood Avenue and authorizing $495,000 and authorizing the issuance of $285,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and the ordinance adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kosiel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance 5622.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a schedule of titles, salary ranges, and regulations for maintaining the classification and salary standardization plan of all employees of the City of Linden, passed August 15th, 1995, and approved August 16th, 1995, establishing salary schedule 4-GG-2.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and the ordinance adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kosiel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Number 5623.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-22.1, four-way stop intersection shall be amended as follows. Add East Henry Street and Washington Avenue.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please. Would you please come up? I didn't see your hand.
Pat Hirowi, Chief Road. At first, when I heard that this was going to be done, I had some questions about it, but then I started thinking, and I thought about how we had so many accidents on East Curtis and Washington Avenue, and then we got the four-way stop, and it really, really helped out a lot. And then I thought about Seoul Junior High School, which is right there, and I thought about the Linden Public Library, which is right there. And then I thought about the fundamental purpose of government, which is to provide for the public safety of its citizens. And I think that this is a great idea, and I hope you agree on passing this. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Please step forward, state your name, please.
Paul Shopping, 315 Second Avenue. Yes, it is required, and thank you, Mr. Brown. I know you had part in this, you know. And even that too, you know, it should be lined and everything like that, you know, because the school's right down the street, you know. It entails the first ward and the third ward, correct? Right. And, you know, thank you, Mr. Brown, for taking part in that. I mentioned this before, but thank you, Mr. Brown, and getting that job done. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
I make a motion for the passage of ordinance 56-23 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. We're going to move into the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no subsequent discussion on these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in the normal sequence of the agenda. We have items 1 through 10. Is there anybody who wishes to have remove an item? On my right, in the center, on my left. Motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I move for items on the consent agenda items 1 through 10 to be approved and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Before we move into the committee reports, I'd like to remind anybody that didn't have an opportunity to sign the sign-in sheet to speak at the public portion, to please do so. We'll start committee reports. Councilman Kalbus.
A report from the Real Estate Committee with myself, Councilman Sheehy, and Councilman Kaczynski. We have been meeting weekly on the Earth Care project that has been proposed in Linden. At this time, we are gathering information and collecting data to see if it's an equitable and safe thing to go into the city. And with all the variables that go along with that, we want to make sure we make the right decision. And our committee is working very hard and very cohesively on this important matter. Also, we've been tasked with the job of finding to see if the municipal garage should be actually the DPW should be consolidated into the municipal garage again. Our committee is working on this, gathering data and making sure that that is the best possible fit as well, along with the consolidation committee and public property and public works committee, because I believe with an undertaking this big that we have to make sure that all our ducks in a row and everything is a great fit for this to happen. Any First Ward resident with any concern, please give me a call at 925-5568. For From the TV 36 committee, things are progressing with our new and updated equipment that we ordered. And I had an idea that to get community and citizens involved, I would like to hear your ideas, and so would Council President, more on what kind of programming we should have in Linden and ideas that we could show on TV to broadcast to the public. So we are very interested in everyone's ideas. So you can reach me at 925-5568 and or contact the Council President with your ideas as well. And finally, I just want to say that I have foregone a month's salary of my council salary for the year 2012 to show leadership in the city and, you know, to set an example that we up here feel and see the need of the taxpayers. And I want to set that example, and again, I'm foregoing a month's salary for 2012. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Kalibas. Councilman Kozio?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to talk first about the municipal budget. Although I'm not on the committee, all of us take a part in working on that and planning to get it where it should be. We're planning to meet in the next few weeks, in fact, I think 2 weeks from today, to continue discussions on the budget. Unfortunately, despite recommendations and direction from several council members and many in the public, there have been no further reductions to the budget, which is still currently about between $1.2 and $1.3 million over cap. We are continuing to create the budget utilizing incremental budgeting. In this traditional approach, it starts with last year's budget and added to or subtracted from according to anticipated needs. The previous year's budget is taken for granted as a baseline. Zero-based budgeting requires all department heads and managers to justify all budgeted expenditures, not just changes in the budget from the previous year. This baseline is zero rather than last year's budget, and it is built on the city's current needs, not organizational structures which might have become inefficient. The advantages of a zero-based budget, several. Efficient allocation of resources as it is based on needs and benefits. It drives budget managers to find cost-effective ways to improve operations. Detects inflated budgets. Useful for service departments where the output is difficult to identify. Increases staff motivation by providing greater initiative and responsibility in decision-making. Increases communication and coordination within the organization. Identifies and eliminates wasteful and obsolete operations. Identifies opportunities for outsourcing. And lastly, forces cost centers to identify their mission and their relationship to overall goals. This type of budgeting needs to be done, and I continue to wonder why the committee is not embracing this method and offering responsible budget management to the taxpayers of the city. I want to talk about the Technology Committee. We will hopefully meet next week to review data collected by municipal department heads on what type of additional or improved technology will enhance the operations of their respective departments. The city is currently evaluating and replacing technology, hardware, and software reactively rather than proactively. As a piece of hardware goes down or software becomes obsolete, we replace it largely without future needs in mind. It has gotten to the point where much of our technology will become obsolete, non-reparable, and non-updatable, and ineligible for future service contracts. The keeping current with hardware, software, and municipal information technology infrastructure must be a priority to this council. I'd like Council President to speak to the importance of this during his monthly report tonight and what actions he is willing to initiate to make certain this happens. You heard my first ward colleague speak on some consolidation and restructuring. We're continuing to meet. In fact, the committee convened at the municipal garage on Thursday, April 5th, to examine firsthand the building and surrounding property with the potential for future consolidation. Much has changed since the committee first began to consider restructuring, mainly that the complements of the departments involved are down by 30%. Direction was given by council more than 2 years ago to proceed with a plan for consolidation, but it was never carried out. Currently, valid questions have arisen as to which facility would be best suited to house the consolidated operations. The committee will convene the week of April 30th at the convenience of committee members Mr. Pirazzoli, Mr. Facchini. Special Improvement District Committee, the SID Committee will meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. On the agenda will be the reviewing of sample designs for the SID website template. As I mentioned last month, a web domain has been secured. A sample logo is being established, and an under construction page with sample template will be available for review for tomorrow's meeting. The Revenue Enhancement Committee will hopefully meet later this week to continue reviewing and considering possibilities for municipal revenue enhancement. We'll examine our current budgeting and revenue development strategy. Second, more specific, very quickly, the traffic study, commuter transit, commuter parking. I'm still looking at that, and I have to get back to our traffic department on details so that we could help further infiltration into the ward. West Elizabeth Avenue Flood Control Project, over the past month, extensive excavation and sewer replacement has been ongoing, and traffic disruption has been minimal, but has taken a toll on light traffic streets and the surrounding neighborhood. I just want to remind everyone that the businesses, local businesses in that area are open. So even if you're detoured a little bit, everything there, you could still go have a meal and do what you need to do and get down Elizabeth Avenue. And if you pass West Blanky Street, the Celanese property continues to develop. The structure is up, and it looks great. The progress is moving along. I'd like to talk very briefly about an event that took place on March 31st. The Linden Society for Historic Preservation held their historic event gala from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Linden Public Library, third floor meeting rooms. I'd like to personally thank Society President Lauren Yates for her leadership and her desire to bring Linden's history to the people, and members of the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee for their help in planning this event. I'd like to mention a few. I hope I don't miss anybody. A lot of people were involved, but specifically Molly Lenz, Rita Greco, Norma Mislin, Marianne Doran, Jay Colucci, Dorothy Hennell, Dale Whitman, and all members without whom this event would not have been possible. I'd like to thank Library Director Dennis Purvis and his entire staff, and the members of the library board, and especially Mike, the custodian at the library. He was terrific. Every time we came traipsing in with box after box after box, he was there to help us and carry everything up to the third floor. He was great. And I'd also like to thank here in City Hall, Public Properties employee Phil, who helped me in a little scavenger hunt to find hidden historic gems in City Hall. He was terrific, and I thank him for his help. Tony Coplin, Al McDonald, and the Public Property Department for the logistics in getting all the material to the library. In fact, these maps and all of our portraits of our former mayors made it over there and were on close inspection and display. I'd like to thank the Linden Board of Education, especially Christine Hudak, for their help and cooperation. Mayor Gabunka, all the council members, City Clerk's Office, Linden Police Department, Fire Department, civic and business leaders, and all those who attended. You made this event a huge success. And we will plan another event in the future with even more historic memorabilia and displays. End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Cozio. Knowing from your conversations of mine that we had computer problems, I don't know the answers to every question in town, so I look for people that can look into it, and that's why the committee was appointed, and I encourage you to continue working as hard as you are. Mr. Brown?
Thank you. Just a couple of items real quick. First, third ward related business. I am working with Councilman Kalbis on not just this four-way stop sign, but all along Washington Avenue. The next issue we are going to be addressing is the stoplight there. If anyone's familiar with the area, the light, there's no delay between when it changes red to green. That's something that I'm working with the traffic department on, seeing if we can get that fixed or get that solved, because again, that's right by the school. Also getting those rumble strips in the area redone, repaved. I made a request yesterday to the Personnel Finance Committee to find some funds to get that funded. It hasn't been funded in a couple of years. The appropriations for rumble strips, so I'd like to see that added to the budget, because I believe that's a big safety issue. Also working with Councilman Kalbis, we see that there's some maintenance that needs to be done at Larson Park, especially the park over there, the basketball court. There's a lot of cracks on there, grass growing through, so hopefully that gets done this year as well. There is a reso on here that I'll be making a motion to remove. It was put on last night. We didn't really discuss it with the full council, so I'd like to make a motion now to remove it. That's reso 2012-191. So I'm seeking to remove that reso, and I seek a second.
Second. Mr. Kalbis?
Yes.
Cozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
–
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Abstain.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
was it. And lastly, there's there's a Senate bill that's been making the news lately. I just want the public to be aware of it. It's Senate Bill 1451. We briefly discussed it yesterday in caucus because there are municipalities that are voting no against it. Basically, the Senate bill looks to improve and update the Open Public Meetings Act. I'm for that bill. There is some fine tuning that needs to be done. But one of the reasons why I'm for that bill, and I mentioned it yesterday, is that basically like a town like Linden, where we have subcommittees, whether it's the Technology, Personnel, Finance Committee, they can meet at any time without notifying the public, and there's no minutes taken. What I like about this bill is that it addresses this particular issue, where now I don't want to say exposes, but it gives the public more access to what's going on with their finances. I fully support this bill. I ask the public to look into it. Again, it's Senate Bill 1451. Again, there's some fine tuning that needs to be done, but the Budget Committee last year did it. When we had meetings, we let council members know, we took minutes. These minutes are filed with the clerk's office. So what this Senate bill looks to do, the primary focus, is deal away with backroom politics, backroom deals, and make sure that the public has great exposure to what's going on. And a report.
Thank you, Councilman Brown. Councilman Armstead?
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following reports. Just to talk about the budget, just want to let everybody know in the public that we are working as hard as we possibly can to finalize our budget. We are attempting to come in under cap, and we would like to make this budget as palatable for the homeowners and palatable for the workers in our city of Linden. The Finance and Personnel Committee will be meeting Wednesday, April 25th at 5:30 p.m. to discuss further recommendations from the department heads. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the department heads for all their work and efforts preparing their recommendations. If you'd like to attend and discuss your recommendations with the committee, please inform the Treasurer's Office and let them know you'll be attending so they can assign you a time. It's not necessary for your attendance at the meeting. However, I strongly advise you to attend the next budget meeting, which is tentatively scheduled for May 1st, 2012, 6 o'clock p.m. That's actually for the department heads and council members. The following report I have is from the License Inspector's Office. The City Clerk's Licensing Division is submitting its monthly report for the month of March 2012. The office issued 116 miscellaneous licenses and collected $8,070. The following licenses, permits, transcripts issued in the City Clerk's Office during the month of March 2012 and fees received has been turned over to the Municipal Treasurer of the City of Linden. We had 101 birth and death and marriage transcripts, $1,500. There was 28 marriage and civil union licenses issued for $84, with the state receiving $700. There were 0 domestic partnerships. There were 19 miscellaneous revenues, $77.43. There were 2 bingo raffles at $40, 251 EDRS vital statistics, $4,380. 1 burial permit fee for $5. The total for $6,786.43. We have the following report from the Department of Public Property and Community Services. I hereby submit the following report from the Division of Transportation and Parking. The collections of parking meters, railroad daily parking lots, merchant parking permits, and railroad parking permits were made for the month of March 2012. Parking meters, $14,486.01. Credit card transactions, $14,220.89. Railroad permits, $25,880.66. Railroad daily New York side, $7,843.25. Railroad daily Trenton side, $8,199.75, and merchant parking permits, $89.16, for a grand total of $70,719.72. As always, we have a Personal Finance Committee report, and we do allow the public to make comment prior to us reading it. A copy has been placed outside for your review, and if anyone from the public has any comments, please do so at this time.
Would you please come up and state your name, please?
Ms. Cosby Woods, Wheatsheaf Road. I'm going to say what I got to say. I don't need anybody's reaction back to what I'm saying. I'm just going to say it and I'm going to be done. Giving honor to God, who is the head of my life, I'm here once again to speak out to the council and the mayor of the city of Linden. I know that people are wondering why is this lady here every month, but I believe that the people need to know that this city is run mostly by fear. Fear of what? I don't know. But there is a sense of fear. And the reason that I know this is because votes on this council get changed like you change your clothes. I believe that if you vote for something and you truly believe that it is right, then stand by that vote. I don't see that here. I know that the mayor stated in a conference meeting 3 months ago that he would consider me for the 911 dispatch position if one opened up. And as we all saw last month, my name was nowhere to be found. Councilman Armstead also promised to me, and I quote, "I'll take care of Ms. Cosby, just trust me. You will have a 911 dispatch job." Well, look at what trusting him has got me. If a man is only as good as his word, then that doesn't say much of him. In the 1930s, 2 little girls asked their parents, "Why can't I swing on that swing like the other children?" Well, the theologian Howard Thurman put it, and I quote, "The measure of a man's estimate of your strength is the kind of weapons he feels that he must use in order to hold you fast in a prescribed place." But truth be told, these statutes only serve to worsen race relations, alienating one group from the other and removing the few informal interactions that might have helped both sides so the potential good and to see the potential good and humanity in the other. I hope that the citizens of Linden are watching, and when it comes time to elect these officials, that you remember me here month after month being lied to, because if they do it to me, they will have no problem doing it to you. As I close tonight, I just want to remind those elected officials that the battle is not mine, it belongs to the Lord, and that is where I'm taking it, because everything that you do in the dark comes to the light. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Armstead? Would you please come up? State your name.
Patty Margo, 2519 Greer Avenue. I have, I guess, a basic question. The budget's not even done yet. We haven't discussed anything pertaining to a budget, yet we're being told that there's a good possibility that we're going to have furlough days, but yet you're hiring people. You're giving raises. How could you possibly do that when you have no idea what this budget is?
Mr. Roth, do you have could you tell us about the civil service problem? Working at a title?
All right. Regarding number 1, the items number 1, these items should be changed, or these individuals should be changed because they're working what's called out of title. That means that they're doing jobs other than what their civil service job description should be, and that's why those matters are being changed. Number 2 is a dispatcher, and that person is being hired because there's a vacancy, and as you know, the dispatcher, it'll cost more in overtime to handle the dispatchers. I'm trying to see if there's any.
Is that a full-time position?
The dispatcher is a full-time position.
So therefore we're paying for the services and we're paying for health benefits, correct?
Yeah.
So how does that come out to be better than having somebody work the overtime?
Well,
because you're paying a ton of money for health benefits.
Well, I can't say what we're going to be paying for her health benefits, but we pay for health benefits for our employees. As for the number 4, that is a vacancy that's being filled. There's a vacancy that's swapping someone out, and that's a part-time position.
What happened to eliminating by contrition? Where is that? Why is that not happening here?
I'm sorry?
Well, you eliminate, and when a person leaves, you don't replace them until you see if you really need these people. That's number 1. Number 2, you mentioned in all of number 1, these people that were working out of pay, out of their title. Why? Who is not watching what these people are doing, that they're working out of title? I've asked this question before. This is not my first time up here. 2 years ago I was up here. Last year I was up here for the
Mr.
exact same
Sheehy
reason.
has a comment on that.
Council President, I was waiting to speak.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sheehy. Mr. Brown did have the floor. Next.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hira, I was going to speak on. I'm sorry, Ms. Patty. I'm sorry. No, I was going to talk about this if nobody else brought this up. We discussed this last month, and some of us discussed it. The same issues you have. I'm voting no for number 1. It's nothing personal for any of the people here, but I don't understand how we're spending money without a budget being even adopted. I think it should be a policy of the council is that no promotions or no hiring goes through without a budget being at least adopted. We have to know what we're spending, or what we're looking to spend before we actually spend it. Here we are in April, don't even have the budget adopted, but we're still spending money. That's the first issue, so I agree with that, and there's other council members who brought up the same question. When it comes to people working out of title, I guess we spent a good, I would say, 20 minutes today talking about that too, today and yesterday. Why is it that people being allowed to work out of title, whose job is it to watch over it, and how do we prevent that? One of the things that I suggest, and I'm hoping the council president enforces this, is that anyone who's currently working out of title right now goes before that issue gets brought up to the consolidation committee, and we address it now. We shouldn't be seeing this month after month, the same thing. People working out of title, so we're forced to promote people. I understand this.
But shouldn't it be brought first to their supervisor? I mean, shouldn't a supervisor or the department head know that these people are working out of title and figure out why they're working out of title?
And I agree. And I asked this question, and from what I understand, some of these people working out of title over a year. And so it's this type of stuff that I'm hoping gets resolved, and I'm asking the council president for his help that these are the same issues over and over again, but it's not getting resolved. I mean, unfortunately, I'm voting no for these, not based off of who the individuals are, but rather than the simple principle. We should not be promoting and hiring people if we don't have a budget that's big, that's even adopted at this point. We're spending money, again, without knowing how much it's going to cost to run a city.
I brought this up before. This is not my first time up here with this.
Mr.
Every
Roth,
year.
the reason why we have to do some of these for A and E possibly, are they out of title?
The reason is, for at least for items number 1 through F, when we've consolidated the positions, and Mr. McDonald in his department has cut over $4 million through either attrition or retirements, well, attrition through retirements and people just leaving. With that, we have had people, we still have to get the job done. And one of the things that we are doing is we're utilizing people in a wider variety of positions. When you do that, and because we're civil service, if someone starts working a majority of time out of their original title, and we're doing that out of necessity, because we're doing more with less, you're going to need to run into these adjustments from time to time. 1, 2, 3. It's 6 people out of his department, and Mr. McDonald's been asking for these changes last year and this year. So,
Councilman
we need
Sheehy.
to do it.
All right, let me simplify this for everybody. Listen up. We've cut over 30% of the workforce in the last 2 or 3 years. So these people on this list, not all of them, I would say, vote what you know up here. These people have stepped up and have taken on more work. That's how they got out of title. In one, say in the municipal garage, we had 2 secretaries. Now there's only 1 secretary in the municipal garage. So this woman stepped up. Now at the municipal garage, we send all the paperwork from Public Works to the municipal garage. So this woman is doing this job too. That's how she's working out of title. See, letter, go to letter, let's see here, C. C, this person was working in the recreation department. Well, we downsized the recreation department. So basically, for the last 2 years, this fella has been supervising that department down there without getting that pay. So if he goes to civil service, we're gonna have to pay him 2 years back pay. So from all the downsizing we did, most of these people here, if the council is knowledgeable of what they're doing, let them vote their conscience. These people have stepped up and have been helping us. Take like number A, letter A. Letter A, the man was the janitor. He was the janitor that cleaned up in here after the council meetings. Now, we had a painter that was getting paid $90,000 a year. The painter retired. Now, the man that was working here as a janitor is now going out doing maintenance work. He's doing painting, he's helping the plumber, he's working with the carpenter. They just did renovations to the office out here. This fella is doing that work. So it looks like we're giving raises, but actually these people were the people that stepped up to the plate that have been helping the city. There's nobody up here who wants to give a raise. And, you know, just vote yes or no on it. But if you're knowledgeable of what these people have been doing in this city to help us to work with the 30% workforce that we lost, some of them are deserving of a raise. Myself, I'm not going to vote on all of them, but I know for a fact A, B, C, D, E, and F. I know every person, what they do. I don't know them personally, but I know what they do because I live in this city and I'm around them. And I will vote my conscience on it. Some of them are deserving of that. And if we don't do this, they will go back to civil service, and we might have to pay them the back 2 years where they stepped up to the plate to help us.
Again, Councilman, I understand all that, and I can understand where the issue is, where they have done this before. But that's where my problem is. This is every year we're having people working out of title. And the question is, why is this continuously being allowed? Why isn't somebody who is supposed to be in title take over that responsibility additionally to what their title is?
I concur with that, and I've asked Mr. Roth to develop a plan to sit down with the department heads. And Mr. Roth, will you explain that, please?
We're having, going to be scheduling a meeting. We're going to be scheduling a meeting with the department heads to discuss various things, including working out of title and jobs, and how to communicate the operational needs of the operational needs of each department through their committee, which will then be brought back to the personnel, what should then be brought back to personnel and finance to make a determination before it comes out here as to their recommendation in conjunction with the respective department. In this case, and just because Mr. McDonald's is on the agenda tonight, Mr. McDonald's department's on the agenda tonight, recreation, to meet with the recreation committee and make sure that the councilmen on that committee and personal and finance agree that if someone is working at it, is the need to have someone take a job so they're not working out of title will be brought to the council before they start working out of title. But the problem is, this department still need to get certain tasks done, and the department heads are doing everything they can, as well as the supervisors, to get that job done. And the employees are pitching in, but if just like everybody else, the employees want to get paid for the work that they do, and just like everybody else does.
Councilman Cozio?
Patty, hi.
Hi.
Welcome back.
I doubt that, but thank you.
Welcome back, sincerely. I had a smile when Mr. Roth was explaining to define the operations of the city. We have always tried to fit personnel or the operations into our existing personnel structure, rather than say, what does the city need? You heard me during my report say, in zero-based budgeting and in developing tables of organization, and at times like we're living, we have to look at it every year. As difficult as it is, we have to look at the needs of the city every year. You heard Councilman Sheehy, he's absolutely right. He made very good, valid points. We are down 30% of our personnel, which tells us one thing. The city's still operating, your garbage is getting picked up, streets are being swept. Were we personnel heavy? Probably yes, okay? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to go further? Probably yes, okay? The city is still $1.3 million over cap. We have to develop a needs assessment. For Public Properties Department, Public Works Department, we know how it was been working for many, many years. We have to start from zero and say, this is the needs of the city. This is what we need to give our taxpayers, our citizens. Build towards that with personnel. We've always done it the other way because it's never been an issue before. We have to turn it around and build outward rather than inward and fit, or try to retrofit. We have to fit to the needs of the city. If we do this, I think it's going to be much more cost effective, and we are going to almost definitely use less personnel. Because in cases like this where we say, we have a need for this individual, well, let's find that individual and put it there, rather than say, you know, well, this person's been working out a title for 6 months. Okay, you should have came to council and said that. Well, with all due respect, this was brought up many, many times, but you look at it and say, we have to fit towards the needs of the city. And we haven't been doing that. We're supposed to be getting monthly reports on what all the members of these departments are doing on a monthly basis. We don't get it. There's no justification, and many, many of these individuals work very hard for what they do, and I respect every last one of them. But we still have to maintain, as the stewards of a $100 million budget, we have to make sure that everybody is doing their job and everybody is making money for the city, and the city is being profitable.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you. I agree with Councilman Shee that people are stepping up to the plate. It's not just these 6 individuals. I would say majority city employees are. With that in mind, I think people in the private sector like myself, where people were getting laid off, we had to step up as well. And so maybe my thinking is in the same sense that if we're at a job, someone's not there, we all have to step up. The other issue besides the budget not being adopted and we're looking to spend money that I have with this is that on the flip side, for us to get under cap, because we're still over cap, Personnel and Finance Committee last year was talking about layoffs. This year they're talking about furlough days. And my question is, what type of message does that send to other city employees that we're looking to lay off or do furlough days, but at the same time, we're doing promotions? Again, let's get the budget fixed first and address those issues. Again, that is my concern. I mean, this is nothing against any city employee, but the fact of the matter is that we're in hard times right now with the budget. Taxpayers are suffering. You have taxpayers that are laid off that haven't received a raise in years or haven't even or actually had to take a pay cut. I mean, this is just the reality we're in right now.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you very much. I just want to make sure you understand this is not the first time. This has been going on for the past 8 years that we've been doing this. And I keep getting told every year I come up here, this is not going to happen again. This is not going to happen again. And guess what? Same time next year, this is happening again. Thank you.
Mr. Armstead.
Yes, just want to make a brief comment. On its face, it appears that we're spending frivolously, but that's not the case. Unfortunately, we're dealing with something called civil service. And civil service, there are rules and regulations that really tie communities' hands. And Mr. Roth spoke to our situation briefly, but I would like to have our department head, Al McDonald, come up and further explain these particular personnel changes.
Mr. McDonald, could you come to the mic, please?
Thank you, Mr. Armstead. These changes that we're seeing here,
Could you get closer to the mic?
yes, these changes that we're seeing here, this comes directly from the consolidation of the departments and the downsizing that we have gone through in the past several years. We have not stopped providing any services. We haven't cut any programs, but we continue to provide all of these things, and we're doing it with 30% less personnel at a savings of over $4.5 million in salary alone. I don't see why everybody is having a hard time understanding that there has to be some adjustments made when that takes place. You cannot provide everything the exact same way with 30% less personnel unless adjustments are made. These are the adjustments that are made. These adjustments, I might add, are very minimal. We had one person just retire, and we're experiencing a savings of $70,000. All of these things together don't amount to $7,000. We had people retire from the recreation division in a mass exodus that left the department there was shambles left of it. A superintendent, an assistant superintendent, a program coordinator, a general supervisor, in one shot, all of them making at least $100,000 a year. We've absorbed that into this without hiring anybody except 2 rec leaders. This is simply cleaning up what has happened over the past several years with the consolidation and the downsizing of the personnel. There is no way that we can continue to do this without spending a small amount of money. $4.5 million we saved. I don't think that we have made changes that cost more than $100,000 tops with all of the changes that we have made after the downsizing. So this is why we are trying to just straighten out what needed to be corrected along the way. A couple of people stepping up to the plate and doing some added responsibilities, I think that it's warranted. And if civil service came in and directed us to do it, I'm sure it would cost us a lot more money than we're spending here. All of these changes, all put together, don't amount to $7,000 in changes. And we just experienced $70,000 last month in savings.
Councilman Brown, you have an additional comment?
Yeah, three things. One, out of this list, how many people are outside of title? Can anyone answer that?
From our conference meeting, I believe 2.
So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, only 2 people are outside of title. How many people have reached their max in salary out of this list?
I think there was 3, if I recall.
It was more than 3.
I believe there was 4 people at their maximum, but
okay, so
we're talking about titles now. We're not talking about min and maxes.
All right, but here, this is what the public needs to know, is that when you do a title change, some of these people are at their maxes. So now they move to another max. And it's not a matter of money this year, but again, we run into the same problem where we say, well, how is it that a city employee is making $100,000? What happens is that when we move someone from one title to a different title, it automatically moves up their title change. So where they were at their max, let's just say $50,000 this year, next, when we approve this, now they have a max of $70,000. So they're getting a raise every year. So it's not a matter of $7,000 today. It's a matter of $7,000 today, money next year, the year after, where we're getting back to the same problem where residents were concerned about some of the salaries that were out there.
The min and maxes were
Ms.
adjusted.
McDonald,
Any min and maxes that were able to be adjusted were adjusted last year. Am I correct, Mr. Armstead?
You sure?
It went through with a fine-tooth comb. Any vacancies that were available to be adjusted were adjusted last year. Of course, the min and max changes because they're in a different title. They have already been set, the min and maxes.
So
there's nothing that you can do about that.
So everyone here who will get a promotion will have a new max, correct?
Of course.
Okay. So then, Council President, my other issue is that 2 months ago, is that when we did a promotion that was state mandated by the state, certain positions, those individuals from Public Works did not get a raise. So my question is, and I asked this in the memo, out of the people who are on there, how many of these people out of the 6 is a state mandatory position where we need to do this today? Or can we wait until the budget is at least adopted to address these promotional issues? In other words, is there a sense of urgency that we need to get this done today?
Well, the only sense of urgency that I can say is this was submitted in November of 2010 for the 2011 budget, and it was knocked down then.
So this can wait till after the budget's adopted?
Well, obviously, since you've already waited over a year to do it now. It just made it to the agenda again. I don't think that it's, I don't see why we're waiting to do it. We're not talking about a substantial amount of money for several people here.
Can you, let me put it this way, and that's what I'd like to say, I'd like to see. If we could project how much these 6 individuals, and it's just a pilot, if you want to say, how much they're going to be making in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. The reason I say that is that when we're talking about a municipal budget, right, we should be able to project how much the salaries is going to cost us.
You can.
And so when
They get a contractual increment. Nobody's getting a raise. They get a contractual increment on a yearly basis until they reach their max.
So this
If
is going to
they
cost us more than
reach their max.
$7,000.
It costs us $7,000 now.
How much is it gonna cost us
Of course, they're moving
next
into
year?
a new title, which brings along a new min and maximum. They get a contractual increment from that point on.
And that's the problem I have, is that it's not just these 6 individuals, but if we're having this problem month after month, it's 6 now, it's 10 next month, it's 3 the month after that, and
Then
this
that
is where
should
we're
be
getting back.
addressed in contract negotiations. That's not for me or anybody else to decide. That's already been established.
But the justification for these promotions is that they're working out of title, which again falls
The
on.
justification is they had to assume responsibilities due to downsizing. That's why they're working out of title. Someone had to do what the people that are missing did.
How long ago did you know about this problem?
Did you just hear me say like 3 times that I submitted this in November of 2010?
So then this issue should have been brought to the council's attention back in 2010, and if they were working out of title.
Mr. Brown, it's not the department.
Do you need me for anything else?
Councilwoman Rashana Cosby.
I'll just, Councilman Brown already said it. We gave state-required positions 2 months ago to people who had been doing it because it needed to be done in Public Works, yet we didn't give them a raise. Nobody wants to give them a raise. Mr. McDonald is also in charge of Public Works. He wasn't fighting for those guys to get raises, while there are only 2 people, as he said, on the list that are technically really working outside of their title. And I've been at council, 8 years, in the audience up here, almost 2 years, and this is not the first time I've heard working out of title. This was long before the consolidations began, and people making $180,000, $90,000, they left, and some of these people didn't come on until 2 years ago. So what were we doing in that person's absence then? People were still doing it, but now we don't need to give people promotions until we know what we're working with for next year. And it's true, it might be $7,000 today, but it's gonna be a lot more, plus pension and everything else that goes along with it. So we asked the finance and personnel to consider only putting those people on that could cause us damage with a desk audit. He says no, as he, every month, it's my report. So we've been here for what, I left the room and it's been 25 minutes.
Councilwoman Cosby Hurling, what we decided to do was
report.
allow the chairman to allow the council to vote individually on each
I understand that, and again, we're creating a situation that we don't need. If we had worked this out in the back the day before, we wouldn't be here right now, this long. Because, not for nothing, a lot of people here have the same sentiments. Let's get the budget. Let's do what's right by the employees, of course, but some people can wait until after we have a budget. That's all I have.
Mr. Sharpie.
Paul Sharpie, 315 2nd Avenue. Well, there's May and June. I'm strongly suggest that these be brought up July 1st. There's only 2 months left in this calendar year 2011. Am I correct, counsel? Correct? Is this coming under these right here, these coming under the 2011 budget or the 2000? Oh, I forgot, the second and third year of the contract. So this way, this is affecting this budget, 2012, 2013's budget. I suggest that these positions be brought up after July 1st.
Thank you. Mr. Kopicki?
Good evening, all. Dennis Kopecki. I'm up on Erudo Street, and I think the easiest way to start this out is that I'm confused. In last month's report from Councilman Armstead, he made a very good effort to explain that item 3 should be removed as far as a position of public safety telecommunicator and an annual salary, because no vacancy existed as far as I understood. The person in that position decided to stay. Yet, this month, his report shows a name and a salary, the same as was removed last month, with a new title of Public Safety Telecommunicator Trainee. Have we added a position? Have we created a position to bring this person on? And I don't know the person. I have nothing against her as a person. I'm only concerned as to the position and possibly spending. What happened to the guy that was supposedly staying? Maybe that's the best.
I could answer that, Council President.
Mr. Mayor, would you please?
The person that was approved last month refused the job,
Okay,
so we still have a position open.
I see. Okay. But the other person that decided to stay is still there also.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Can I make one statement, a short, brief statement?
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Just for the public certification, we're talking about budgets, we're talking about cost savings. During the last 5 years in my administration and with the help of this governing body, I want the public to realize, and this is fact, that we eliminated, over the last 5 years, 86 full-time positions in the city of Linden and 15 part-time. So this administration and this governing body are working hard to cut costs. And if you eliminate that many positions, you have to have other people pick up the workload. Maybe not all 86 positions workload, but the workload has to get done, and we haven't cut services. So that's what this is all about. 86 full-time, 15 part-time. That's tremendous amount of savings, not only salary, but pension and health benefits. Thank you, Council President.
Mr. Armstead?
Okay, Mr. President, I just would like to make one more statement with regards to, we had people who would like to speak about the report, and my comment is to Mrs. Cosby, Cynthia. I stand by what I said. I believe in my ability to get things done. I believe in my ability to bring forth compromise. If you'd like to discuss this further, you have my cell number. You have my home number. I'm more than willing to discuss it with you. Okay? Unfortunately, we're in a very tough situation here with regards to this telecommunicator's position, and I'm doing everything humanly possible to broker and make things work out here. That being said, we're going to move on with the rest of the Personal and Finance Committee report. Approval is requested for the following personal and finance actions. We're going to read them individually. There are 7 items, and out of the 7 items, I'm going to break up item 1 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items so that you can vote individually on the items if you choose. In the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the change in title for the following personnel to be commensurate with duties they are presently performing effective April 18, 2012. A. Ronald Feuerschweiger, change in title to Maintenance Worker 1, grounds at the hourly rate of $16.61 with an annual salary of $34,548.
Mr. Clerk?
We need a motion and a second.
Motion for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kozio?
No until a budget is established.
Brown?
No until budget is adopted.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby, Hurling?
She's excused for a moment.
Sadowski?
Like I stated last month, any kind of thing until the budget is, I'm voting no, so it's a no.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
No until adoption of a budget.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
6 yes, 4 no, 1 person absent.
Number
B.
Number B, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, a change in title for the following personnel to be commensurate with the duties they are presently performing effective April 18, 2012. John Fleming, change in title to Maintenance Worker 1 grounds at the hourly rate of $20.30 an hour. Annual salary, $42,224.
Motion.
I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kozio?
No until a budget is established.
Brown?
No until budget is adopted.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby, Hurling?
Excuse for a moment.
Sadowski?
No.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
No until adoption of a budget.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No. C.
4 yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no.
C, Gary Luciano, change in title to Recreation Supervisor at the present salary of $70,259, no increase in pay.
Motion.
A motion, move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kozio?
No until a budget is established.
Brown?
Adopted.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby, Hurling? This is 1C.
No, we need a budget.
Sadowski?
No.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
No, not until the budget is adopted.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Bring in the budget.
D.
D, Megan Martin, change in title to Recreation Program Coordinator at her annual salary of $58,163, no increase in pay. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kozio?
No.
Brown?
No until adoption of the budget.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby, Hurling?
No, not until we get a budget.
Sadowski?
No.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
No until adoption of a budget.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Motion is defeated.
E, in the division of the municipal garage, Richard Rowdy's change in title to mechanic tier 2 at an hourly rate of $17.98, annual salary $37,398.40. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kozio?
No.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby, Hurling?
Not until we get a budget, no.
Sadowski?
No.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
No.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
F, approval for Lisa Osada, change in title to Principal Account Clerk, Grade 5, at an annual salary of $53,379. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Kozio?
No until a budget is established.
Brown?
No until budget is
Armstead?
adopted.
Yes.
Cosby, Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
No.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
No.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Motion is defeated.
Item number 2. In the police department, the hiring of Nicole Andrews as a public safety telecommunicator trainee at the annual salary of $33,234 effective April 18, 2012. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
No.
Cosio?
No.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
No.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
No.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Motion is defeated.
Number 3.
Number 3, in the Department of the Municipal Court, the acceptance of Nicole Nadler's resignation as a student assistant as of March 28, 2012. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Number 4.
In the Engineering Department, the approval to hire Ursula Krasinskiewicz from April 18, 2012 through June 29, 2012 as a Public Works Inspector at the hourly rate of $14.42, not to exceed 19.5 hours a week due to Richard Sesnick's FMLA leave of absence. I move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Abstain.
Sadowski?
No.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Number 5.
Number 5, in the Engineering Department, the acceptance of Brian Papelo's resignation as a Public Works Inspector. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Number 6.
The payment of bills totaling $1,921,305.70. The bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, and Finance Chairman. A detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the Clerk's office. Move for approval and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Number 7.
We are in receipt of the investments made by the City Treasurer for the month of March at a rate of 0.75%. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilwoman Cosby Hurling?
Thank you, Mr. President. From recycling, when our committee met in February, we suggested to the Public Works Division that there would be designated personnel to work with the recycling coordinator. We also asked for them to look into a special metal pickup, and we're still waiting to get a response from the DPW committee to establish something that can be worked out in our recycling division. We are also preparing new literature that will be available electronically, and we're trying to get it published on TV 36 so everybody can actually get a visual of what should and should not be recycled. I also know that the Environmental Commission wanted to work with us on that, just to get the word out so everybody's clear on what should and should not be recycled. So that is still in the progress. From the engineering department, work started yesterday on the improvements. Actually, this is not yesterday. This was, yesterday. On the improvements to Bryant Place, Jackson Avenue, Alberta Avenue, East 10th Street, Clinton Street, Malcolm Place, and Peters Street. And all work should be completed. They're estimating that it's going to be done by the end of May. The New Jersey Department of Transportation notified the engineering department in March that we were successful in obtaining a grant in the amount of $223 to resurface sections of DeWitt Terrace and Southwood Avenue. And we expect to have construction begin for this in June. I will be attending the Linden Housing Authority meeting next week as the liaison. They have not met this month, so we'll be going to that and bring the information at next month's council meeting. I'm anticipating the approval of an ordinance tonight, which is where we're going to actually have finally the summer food program for the children in Linden who are eligible. That's going to be done at no cost to the city. I know that there were concerns from Mr. McDonald that no one was able to do more and support the program by, doing the paperwork that was involved and things like that. So we have the CIC who's actually at LMPC. They're going to put, have the food program, provided the application process goes well, and that's going to support all of the children in town who are eligible for free and reduced lunch. They do their application, they can have lunch all summer for free in a safe environment, and they'll also have an enrichment program that goes along with that for children from 6 years of age to 11. We have some neighbors that were questioning whose responsibility it is for St. George's Avenue where the project went, stale. For the cleanup, right now we don't have a lot of debris, but we do have overgrowth that's beginning. And it's the main road, so I spoke to the mayor today and he said that he would have Public Works put us on the schedule along with some of the other vacants, but we need to make sure that it's cut regularly so people don't just start to dump. We actually had a couple of instances where they're dumping on the back side of it. Lots of fixtures and all kind of stuff is being dumped. So, but we're going to make sure that it stays clean, and hopefully we don't have any problems over the summer. The 5th Ward newsletter is available electronically. We'll be walking around the ward in the coming weeks to get that delivered to you. If you'd like to have an electronic copy, please send me an email, rcosbyhurling@linden-nj.org, or you can give me a call, 908-477-4120. And we're going to be going around this weekend during our National Volunteer Week just to try and make sure the 5th Ward has clean places for our children to work. We were, unfortunately, the victims in the 5th Ward in the Charles Street Park of vandalism. Our jungle gym was set ablaze and unfortunately had to be removed. So I'm confident that the police are working on that, and whenever the funds become available, we can try and see if that can be replaced, but we're low on the list because we are the 5th park that's been vandalized by fires in the city of Linden. I have nothing else. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Sadowski.
Thank you, Council President. Just a few remarks. First of all, if you pass by the highway, Clinton Street and Wood Avenue, the state has come in and fixed the lights. It was a loop thing, and the traffic is much better. I spent, it must have been about an hour checking on Clinton Street if you can cross, and it is much better than it was before. You don't have too many of those big trucks blocking it. You still have a few, but I would say it's 100% better than before they fixed it. So, but please, I stood there for 5 minutes and I counted, I'm just telling you, 54 trucks passing by, and these are the big deuce and a half. So please be careful, but the state did fix it. If you notice the underpass on Wood Avenue, it's been cleaned up. It's an ongoing process. It will stay clean. They put the lights up, and it will be a safe environment for people to cross underneath. Thanks to Peter Brown and other ones, they called up the company, and it's being done. As senior citizen representative for the seniors, there are two big scams going on. One was in the paper, one wasn't. Let me just mention it. One of them, they will call you up and say you missed jury duty. And if you didn't show up, they were going to come and arrest you. But if you give this gentleman who was the jury chairman your name and social security number, it would be fixed. Please, if they try that, don't give them anything. Please don't. But this is something that's been going around. A few people have been caught by it. And the other one, think seems far-fetched, but it was in the papers. They will call you up, especially elderly people, and say, this is your granddaughter, your grandson, your niece. I'm in Turkey. I'm in jail. I need $1,000 to get out. And you, of course, being excited, you're trying to think if you do have a niece by that name or any kind of relative. And people have sent money to them. Please, before you send any kind of money out of town, please check on it. But these two are the ones. Congratulations to Helen Kenny for being chosen Senior Citizen of the Year. I forget the exact date. We will have that crowning or whatever it is. We'll give her the thing, but it's coming up. So please look in the bulletin and so on for the senior citizens. And once again, congratulations. In the 6th Ward, there was a fire about a week and a half ago on Munsell Avenue. The gentleman whose house was emailed me, and he just wanted to compliment the police and the fire department on how fast they got there and what professional services they gave him. They saved the house with little damage, and he just wanted to let us know. And like I said, I'm glad that our citizens realize the good and professional how our fire and police departments are. And I personally want to thank all the fire and police personnel for the professional job they do for the city. Like you said, if you don't have to bother with them, then you're safe. But when you need them, they'll be there to help you. They will be starting resurfacing in the 6th Ward streets between Clinton and Wood Avenue. It'll be starting this week. And also from 17th, Westbrook Avenue, east on 10th Street, from Woodlawn to Clinton Street, they will start resurfacing this week. And the last thing, this was just today, someone mentioned to me at the senior citizen meeting. I know we have a lot of dog lovers in town. They take the dogs to the park. Now, these 3 women came to me, and I'm trying to think what park, Lexington Avenue Park, they said. And as they were there, they go up to the water fountain, and there's 3 people with dogs picking the dogs up to drink out of the water fountain. Please, have consideration for the other people. I mean, they were highly upset, so I told them I would mention it. This concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Sadowski. Councilman Sheehy?
Thank you, Council President.
Excuse
Go
me.
ahead, Bob.
Yeah. One other thing I forgot to mention. The last
Councilman
thing.
Sheehy, just give
Go right
Councilman
ahead.
Sadowski a moment, please.
It's the most important. I was unable to attend the special budget meeting held on April 3rd, 2012, because I was out of town due to a commitment that was made prior to the special meeting being called. However, I did submit a suggestion to the Personnel Finance Committee and to all members of the council for review at the meeting. The suggestion was to have each member of council give up 1 month's pay. That would be a total of 2 paychecks. I would like the residents of the 6th Ward and the residents of the city of Linden to know that I will be giving up 1 month's pay as per my request. So far, according to the other ones, I see Chris Colibus already will take a cut, and Peter Brown said he would take a cut. I feel that if we are asking the city employees to do more with less, take furlough days, or even be faced with possible layoffs, then we, as the leaders of the city of Linden, should be willing to be the first ones to give something up and compromise for the sake of the city of Linden. We must lead by example. I would ask my fellow council members to reconsider my suggestion and show that we are willing to work together with the city employees and residents of the city during this time of budgetary constraints and give up 1 month's pay. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Sheehy.
Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, this month, the Cultural and Heritage Committee was very busy. This weekend, we had the mayor's 5K race, and it was a success. The leader of the Cultural and Heritage Committee is Molly Lenz, and I'll tell you, this woman does a great job, great job. And I'd like to follow up what Councilman Koziel said about the Historical Preservation Committee. He forgot to mention himself. Mr. Koziel has spearheaded this, and he's doing an excellent job. And if you missed that day at the library, the history that was there, I could have stayed there all night. I'd like to put special thanks to Lauren Yates and Dale Whitman. You should have seen the collection that Dale Whitman has, and he brought to the library for everybody. Mr. Koziel did an excellent job, and his family too. Mr. Koziel's family was there and helped out, and I think we should do something like this at least once or twice a year. You have all my support with that. Thank you very much. From the DPW, with our co-mingle recycling, we made $7,416. With our metal, we're at an all-time low. I don't have it with me, but it was just barely over $1,000 we picked up last month in our metal. In the 7th Ward, we have a major problem with the brook. The brook between Wood Avenue and Winans Avenue is a total mess. In my eyes, it reminds me of pictures I've seen of Vietnam. It's a total mess. It's a disaster. I am trying to get help and support how we're going to clean it up. It's a major problem. We're going to need a crane, I would say. So it did not fall on deaf ears. We are working on it. And now I'm getting complaints from both sides of the brook. And I fully understand, and we will take care of it. The light on Wood Avenue and Main Street, the problem is there. It's the same problem with the light on Washington. It's very outdated, and we can't get parts for these lights anymore. So I know the light on Wood Avenue and Main will be repaired, but it's going to take $16,000 to repair that light. All right. And we will be paving Clinton Street. That is underway right now. And I would like to speak on the medical waste, but I'd rather not, because I'd really get myself in a lot of trouble. So I would like to thank the committee of Adam Kaczynski and Councilman Kalibas for helping me and guiding me and keeping me under control over this subject. And I promise the people of 7th Ward, we will not get a medical waste facility. I will do everything I possibly can to stop it. And I don't know if that, puts you to rest any, but it's not going to work in the city of Linden. I would rather not comment on it because you probably have a heart attack up here, a stroke, and some people might enjoy that. And I would like to thank Helen Kenny for all the volunteer work she does. If you've seen the resume that this woman had for the Senior Citizen of the Year, it's understandable why she's the Senior Citizen of the Year. And she just does it because she just loves doing it. And I appreciate all the help that she gives me. And the city of Linden lost 2 great businessmen this week. Ed Mack from Ed Mack Trucking and Bill from Koenig's Hardware. These 2 men did a lot for the city of Linden, and I hate to see them go. God bless them. End of my report.
Thank you, Councilman Sheehy. Councilwoman Yamakaitis.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Board of Health, I'd like to announce that the rabies vaccination program will be held on the following dates and locations. In the afternoon, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on May 7th. It's a Monday at Firehouse Number 3, which is located on East Elizabeth Avenue and Chandler Avenue. And again, another afternoon from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on May 16th at Firehouse Number 2, which is located on DeWitt Terrace and West St. George Avenue. An evening will also be made available from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., which will be May 9th. It's Firehouse Number 1, which is located at the 302 Southwood Avenue. If anyone has any questions on these, they could be directed to our health department at 474-8409. And I'd just like to make mention also that cats will also be vaccinated at these locations. So, and also please bring your dogs on leashes. Okay, from the Linden Library, the Linden Library will be hosting a house buying seminar on April 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Christopher Zangala from the Garden State Community Bank will describe the benefits and pitfalls of renting versus owning a home, as well as give information on mortgages, government programs, etc. So if you're available for this seminar, it's April 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. For the 8th Ward report, I'd just like to make mention, as Councilwoman Cosby mentioned, from the Engineering Department, Malcolm Place and Peter Street will be paved, probably will be done by the end of May. And I want to thank everyone who helped and those who braved the weather to come out to attend our first indoor Easter egg hunt for the 8th Ward. It's amazing the resiliency of the kids. They didn't care it was indoors, they wanted their eggs. So I want to thank everyone for helping out. Audrey Pereira, great volunteer from the 8th Ward. Okay, just a reminder again, this is Autism Awareness Month. I would like to thank the Linden Police Department and Fire Departments for inviting me to help with their first ever egg hunt for special needs children in Linden. A special thank you to Sergeant Williams and all those who helped organize the event. Very often, children with physical or developmental disabilities aren't able to attend these activities that many of us take for granted for our children. So I'd like to thank the police and fire departments for stepping up, going out there. They met with the children, they met one-on-one, showed them the fire trucks, the police cars. It was a great day, you know. I think everybody learned something. The police and firemen, they were very curious on, you know, talking to these children. They were amazed at how bright they are, and it was a really great event. So I hope it continues the following year. And Councilman Sadowski, I think, forgot me. I, too, mentioned last night that I will be giving up a month's salary for, we're asking our employees to step up to the plate. It's April 17th. We still do not have a budget that is down to cap. We're looking at doing promotions tonight. We can't do it. We need to get that budget down to cap. You know, step up to the plate. We're asking everyone to sacrifice, and I think I've said this before many times when I talked about health benefits, lead by example. You want to ask employees, many of whom, like, let's say, for instance, our public works employees, guys on the back of the garbage truck making $10 an hour, to give up a day a week for 1 week, you know, one day, it's going to hurt them that week. It's going to be a choice of what bill to pay. So, you know, it's very easy to sit up here and dictate, let's cut. But I think, you know, we have to show that we are in serious trouble here. We need to lead by example. So that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to report on the Hawkeye Sanctuary, which is the land and forested area that surrounds our landfill. The walkway in the Hawkeye Sanctuary is almost finished. It will be finished hopefully by the end of this month. And to that end, the committee has designated May 30th at 11 a.m. the ribbon cutting ceremony to actually physically open the walkway to all Linden residents, students, and actually anyone who is environmentally concerned to really see something that is spectacular. And I say it again, you'll see wild deer, you'll see turkey, red-tailed fox, hawks, egrets, all sorts of other birds, and turtles too, which I saw last week. But it's really something, we're going to be very proud of it. The walkway right now goes out to an observation post right into the Rawway River. So it's really something to see. One other item that several other items. A bond ordinance, which was passed on the second reading this evening, which is 5621, which designates that we will receive a grant of $285,000 from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. I want to thank our engineering department. They've been successful over the number of years in receiving grants, particularly from the NJDOT, that helps subsidize our paving. And this particular grant will be used for Dewood Terrace, a section of Dewood Terrace, as well as a section of Southwood Avenue. These are major roadways. Dewood Terrace, which is in my 9th ward, that's an extremely important roadway because Firehouse number 2 is located on the corner of St. George and DeWitt, and that roadway should be a very good roadway to allow our fire apparatuses to get from St. George Avenue to Raritan Road. So we look forward to that sometime this year, and I understand that the paving, with the amount of money raised, will probably go to Livingston Road. A couple other items I'd like to point out, particularly in my ward. Right now, trees are blooming, and some are late bloomers. But I've gotten a few calls, people thinking that the late bloomers are dead. They're really not dead. Some are, and some aren't. So we don't want to send our tree crews out there for nothing. Wait until you can actually see if it doesn't bloom in the next several weeks, then it's obviously dying or dead. Again, the 9th ward and the 10th ward probably have the most amount of trees. I don't know why they keep on calling it Sunnyside. To me, it's Shadyside. But I'm getting calls to have more trees planted. No problem. We can take care of that. And I know there's a number of calls now to trim trees and remove the dead ones. I just want to tell all of my constituents out there that please contact me at my number, which is 908-925-0343, or go onto my personal website, which is Councilman Robert Fraser at AOL.com. The other couple items I want to recognize the fact that I had the wonderful opportunity to attend the 150th Linden anniversary, which was held at the Linden Library. It was magnificent. I was extremely impressed with all the exhibits and the items that were collected there. And Mr. Koziol, you and your family are to be commended for doing an outstanding job. I was very proud of Linden at that moment. I did not realize we had that much information. And at the same time, too, Helen Kenny, I'd like to personally thank you and congratulate you. They've made a fine selection as you being Senior of the Year. That pretty much concludes my report. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Frazier. Councilman Kosinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to start out with the committee reports. For the month of March, the Fire Prevention Bureau collected $3,868.25. The Linden Fire Department responded to 530 calls. The Construction Code Department for March processed 138 permits and 111 certificates, and the total fees collected were $35,659. And as you saw with our, I guess, recognition earlier today with ConocoPhillips and the robot, you know, it's funny that it's a toy, and you know we're making a recognition for that. But I thought about it, and you think about when you're a child, how do you learn things? You learn things from these things that kind of stand out. And when I saw that, that was the actual first time I saw it roll in, and I won't forget it now. I saw it come in, it talked to me, so I'll remember it forever now. But that to me also leads to prevention. Most importantly, prevention of a future injury, prevention of injury to somebody else, prevention of damage to property, which is in turn prevention outside of the safety issue of money. So something like that is a great example of how the private industry and government can come together and be partners, and that we're all residents of Linden. Which would lead me also to the historical event that was at the library. I was blown away by how much Linden had, how much it still has to show. And it really inspired me about the future of Linden, to be quite honest with you. You know, we were all there. I think I ran into so many council people there, and it was great to talk on a level where no matter what our ideas or concerns are, it's on a basic level of Linden. That's what all, that combines us all. You know, it's what's our underlying current for everything. So I would like to also extend my thanks and congratulations to Councilman Kozel and everybody that helped, from the smallest detail to the biggest detail. All of it played to something that just burned in my memory, and I really appreciate having to have that experience. Speaking of the fire committee, I'd like to say we'll be meeting again. We've been meeting quite often, and that's with Councilwoman Yamakaitis, Councilman Kalbas, and Councilman Sadowski. Be working, I think, very well with good, open, and honest discussion about a variety of issues, and we'll be, meeting again and coming again further. Helen Kenny, I admire your passion. I think we've talked so much, and then you are also somebody that inspires me when I'm up here too, because things can kind of get heavy sometimes, and you see people that give back to the community, give back to the community, give back to the community, and you do it on a grand scale. And then there's people that do it on a smaller scale. So through your recognition, I think we should recognize all volunteers, and let us all, put that extra effort in there. And specifically, though, congratulations. I'm very happy for you. And the 10th Ward, as Councilman Frazier alluded to, we have a ton of trees, and that's probably been one of the biggest issues I've been responding to. And every request that has gotten to my ear or my eye, I have looked into, and I want to thank personally DPW for helping me out. As a newer councilman, you got to learn how the right aspects to go to, the right areas to go, the right avenues to go down, and I really appreciate the help. And I think we've accomplished 95% of the areas that were there or are still pending. But please reach out, and I promise that I don't have all the answers. I promise I might not even have a smidgen of an idea, but I'll find out. I'll do my best to try to find out. And if it's something we can work together, we'll do it. If it's something that we just can't do, we'll let you know, and we'll see what we can do. And with that being said, anybody that's in the 10th Ward specifically, I would like to help out and volunteer for different things. I would like to get in the summertime more events for our community. So if you have a penchant for volunteering, please, if you have an idea, what do you think would be a great event, give me a call. I'm putting a lot of emphasis on getting our community back to a level where we can kind of say hello to each other and smile at each other, because that's really again about prevention. That'll help when we have issues with crime or issues with speeding or issues with anything. If we all know each other and help out, I think it goes a long way, and it doesn't cost a cent. So if anybody has any good ideas or penchants or ideas in the 10th Ward, please contact me. I've already had a few people come up, and it's great. It's great. I think we're going to have a good number of events this summer and the rest of this year. With that being said, that concludes my reports, Mr. Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Kaczynski. Mayor, you have a report?
Thank you, Council President. I'll be brief because most of my issues that I was going to report on have already been reported by the council persons, but I just want to emphasize what you're hearing tonight regarding volunteers, how important that is to our community. Instead of Linden being a city, when we have volunteers, we become a community. And of course, Helen, I will be at your awards ceremony and consider it an honor to be there for everything you do for our city. Dolores Hines with the Municipal Alliance, you're there all the time. Molly Lenz with the Cultural Committee, as Councilman Sheehy mentioned, who was also volunteering his time at the race at the AA field this Sunday, the Mayor's Challenge Cup, the 5K race. He was there. Councilman Kozel and his family just did a tremendous job at the library for the 150th anniversary. Again, all volunteers that are there and contributing to the community. And as the councilman in the 10th Ward said, please reach out for us. We got plenty of activities where we need volunteers. And it seems that it's the same people all the time that are giving and giving to this city. And we realize that everybody has a family and everybody has jobs that they have to contribute to, but give us a couple hours too, and you'll be surprised how enjoyable and what a benefit it would be to our city. Thank you, Council President, and the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're going to move into resolutions 2012-163 through 2012-190. Public comments will be permitted and those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions, which have been prepared by the city clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does anyone wish to remove any resolutions 163 to 190? Your number, please. Pat Hero. 178. 179. 181. 187. 188. Anybody else on my right? In the center, please. Mr. Sharpie. 169. 170. 171. 177. 179. Excuse me?
Yes.
Mrs. Malik? 177, 181, 189, 191. On my left?
Was removed.
Anyone on my left over here? Motion, please, on the remainder.
Before I do the motion, I wanted to find out, you said last night that you were going to give a report, a council president's report every month. Is that going to start next month?
Mr. Cozio recommended that I do that.
You said you would. Is that going to start next month? I'm just curious because I don't want to I don't want you to forget. I'm just trying to help you.
Would you like to know what I do daily?
Never mind.
Thank you.
Council President, I'm sorry, one last thing. The reso also for the rules.
Hold it, Mr. Brown, you're not recognized. We're still asking the people if they wish to remove anything. On my left?
We were actually asking for a motion, but we don't have one. We have to add a number for the council.
Mr. Hudak, Mr. Brown, Mr. Clerk.
I'll read it.
Would you read that, please? This was presented to us this evening.
This would
It was
become-
not on the agenda, and I just received it
Council President?
within minutes ago.
This would be Resolution 2012-192.
Thank you.
Resolution to amend the bylaws of the council for the operation of council meetings. Whereas the council has determined to establish certain practices for the operation of council meetings and to amend its bylaws accordingly, and whereas same is in the best interest of efficient government, now therefore be it resolved by the council as follows. 1. Resolutions and ordinances shall be in writing, a copy of which shall be given to each council member prior to its introduction. All proposed resolutions and ordinances will be discussed at the conference meeting for consideration at the regular meeting or special meeting as the case may be. Thereafter, no further resolutions or ordinances on introduction presented by any committee or department will be considered at the regular council meeting unless specifically authorized by a majority of council members present. Notwithstanding the foregoing, nothing in this provision will prevent any council member from making a motion or from presenting a verbal resolution during a regular council meeting pursuant to the council's rules of parliamentary procedure. Members of the council shall be seated at the council dais for the council meeting at the pleasure of the council president. 2. The council meeting agenda for the regular meeting shall include all resolutions and ordinances for introduction which have the support of a majority of council as expressed at the conference meeting. Any member of council may, if he or she so chooses prior to the adoption of the resolutions on the agenda, request that an item contained therein be independently considered and shall be voted upon separately. 3. All proposed resolutions and ordinances requested by any department will be forwarded by respective city departments to the council committee overseeing said department, which shall forward same to the clerk for inclusion on the conference meeting agenda for consideration by the council. The foregoing shall not apply to the law department, which shall forward all matters for consideration directly to the clerk for inclusion on the conference meeting agenda. 4, all proposed resolutions and ordinances requested by any department and forwarded by respective city departments to the council committee overseeing said department shall forward to the clerk 1 week prior to the conference meeting. Any matters not received by such time will not be considered until the following month's conference meeting, unless same is requested due to exceptional circumstances by the appropriate committee and the full council agrees to consider same. 5, all meetings of the city council may be adjourned upon a motion duly seconded and approved by a vote of the majority of council members present. If such motion fails to obtain a majority, the meeting will continue until a subsequent resolution is approved adjourning the meeting. 6, all resolutions or parts of resolutions which are inconsistent with the provisions of this resolution are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. 7, this resolution shall take effect pursuant to law.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. For the public, since this wasn't on the agenda, does anybody wish to discuss this on my right? Pat Hero? Mr. Clerk, are we calling this 191 or 192? 192. Pat Hero, 192, sir. Mr. Sharpie, 192. Anyone on my left? Thank you. Motion on the remainder.
I move resolutions 2012-163 through 2012-192 with the following exceptions: 169, 170, 171, 177, 179, 178, 181, 187, 188, 189, 191, which was removed, and 192, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
169.
2012-169, Mr. Sharpie.
Yes, 169, 170, and 171.
Would you do 169? Well,
Oh, they have to be individual. It seems like they're all together. It's City of Elizabeth and Linden sharing services.
okay,
Is this
you're the
first-
only one who wants to speak on them, so go ahead.
Okay. Is this the first time we're sharing service in the public health with the City of Elizabeth? Is this the first time?
Department Head Nancy Colobus, please.
No, sir, these are annual contracts. It's for specific services, for health education, with a certified health educator, which is mandated by the state. The other is for the STD clinic for those people that are underinsured, uninsured, and not eligible for charity care. And the other is for TB treatment and through the TB clinic for those people that are uninsured and not eligible for charity care.
It's only for city residents only, or residents from other municipalities coming over?
No, this is just for City of Linden residents that are sent to these clinics if they need to be treated for these things and are uninsured.
Thank you. Motion, please, on 169, 170, and 171.
I move resolutions 169, 170, 171. Seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 2012-177, Mrs. Malik.
Can someone be a little bit more specific? What is
this resolution pertaining to, that we need special counsel?
This is the matter between the city and the county over the funds that are generated by the red light camera.
Okay.
We're in litigation with the county over that.
All right, so right now, the total amount to date is like 15,000. We're adding another 5,000. I mean, is there any light at the end of the tunnel for how much of this cost is going to be increasing possibly?
Well, this is a lawsuit, the suit involves many millions of dollars, so in order to protect the city's interest, we have to sometimes spend that money in court to make sure that we retain what the city should properly keep.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Sharpie, 171, 177, I'm sorry. Motion, please.
Yes, I move resolution 177 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Kozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 2012-178, Pat Hero.
If you don't mind, Council President, I'm going to batch this with 179 because I'm basically going to be addressing the same issue with regard to both.
Sure.
First of all, we have now we're going to be spending so far, and this doesn't count the law firm we had before this, 190, probably 8,000 approximate dollars, 198,000 approximate dollars on redevelopment council, where if government was not involved in the redevelopment business, we wouldn't have had to spend such large sums of money. And I presume this is going to continue on for quite a while. Now, I want to ask Mr. Hudak a question. When we get bills from McManaman in Scotland, do they break it down, for example, like hourly and what they did during those hours, or is it just a very general?
No, all bills are presented hourly. Our contract is they bill at an hourly rate. The bills are reviewed. If there's questionable items in there, and there have occasionally been questionable items in there, the bills are returned to them to readjust and send us back before I approve the bill.
Okay. I guess there is no thing where we could have done something where this is the issue, we'll pay you this amount, and that's it, work within that?
Law firms do not work on that basis. You're either working on an hourly basis, or if it's a personal injury matter, you're working on a retainer of judgment. This is a contract dispute, essentially, so the law firms don't work on an hourly basis. That's the only way we could retain them.
Well, actually, I had worked for a law firm that didn't actually work that way. They did work on a project basis, but it was an, I guess, rather unusual project. But that's how they operate it, so that's why I was just curious. Thank you.
Mr. Sharpie, 179.
This law firm, where are they located? McMahon in Scotland?
They're located in Newark.
Man, they're getting a lot of our city tax money, ain't they? That's why I had to share on it.
Mrs. Malik, 2012-181.
No, we gotta have a vote on 178.
We have to vote on 79. Just 78.
Before you do, let me do a motion, please, on 179.
And 78.
And 178.
Okay. I move resolutions 178 and 179 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Kozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 2012-181, Mrs. Malik.
In our city, I would assume that we have shared services. Let me take a step back. For this resolution here, why can't the city do something like this on their own? Why do we have to go out for a contract on this? We have a purchasing department, and I would think that something like this would come under their mandate.
181.
Yes.
Yes.
And Alexa's still here, right? Yeah, I mean,
Alexis.
we met with this company, this is something that came out of Budget Committee last year, where, and I guess this got brought up last month as well. Basically, they do an analysis on all our spending and everything else like that, look for the areas where we can save. Again, they're getting a percentage based off the savings. They came yesterday, and just off like a certain section of $5 million within the budget, they projected that they can save. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alexis, did they say upwards of about $500,000?
Correct.
And so we're our purchasing department, and we tried to address that last year. Yes, they're purchasing things and everything else like that. They might be able to get other goods that we need, whether it's computer equipment, things like that, at a cheaper price. Alexis, I don't know if you can explain it a little bit better.
Wait. My question is, have we done something within the city? You know, we've had financial problems for a long time. Something like this would seem to be common sense that we would have addressed this. Our finance department purchasing whatever. Maybe about purchasing the equipment, that's one thing, if you can get a better pricing. But to go through the rigors of this, I would have thought someone within the city, or many departments in the city, would be doing this.
We have, like, last year, again, the Budget Committee brought up these issues as far as maybe condensing the amount of printers and toners and things like that we use. We spend a lot on toners and printers and everything else like that. Again, that was up to the Personnel Finance Committee to implement that. Most of it wasn't. Telephone lines, again, condensing some of that stuff. So we started the process last year based off one employee. She brought to our attention. We got phone lines we don't use that are outdated. Let's cut some of that stuff. But this goes a little bit deeper in the fact where they have the ability to actually, break it down to almost the penny as far as, ways that we can save money. Are we using too much paper? Are we using the right type of technology that's the most cost efficient? And then again, when we go out to buy this stuff, because technology is a big part where we're wasting a lot of money, when we go and upgrade, are we getting the best price in the market? Because they have the ability not just to buy it on behalf of the city of Linden, but maybe they're buying it on behalf of the city of Linden, another company. So it all goes down to, again, saving us money.
I hear what you're saying. I think it should be the remit of the departments in here. They should be going through this. There should be a policy within the city to be doing this, to be thinking about it. That's all I want to say.
Mr. President, if you may.
Mr. Armstead?
What this company does is they enter in what is referred to as volume purchase agreements, and they deal with other municipalities and other
purchasing department
and other cities, and collectively purchase things. And what they hope to do is to be able to bring a savings by being able to buy with consortiums. And so that savings, we are going to give them a percentage of that savings. And the devil is in the detail, I guess, and the proof will be in the pudding. We'll just have to see. We have to give them a chance to see what they can do, and hopefully they will be able to save us money.
That's fine. You're still missing my point.
We're trying very diligently, on our behalf, we're trying very diligently to accomplish and achieve savings also. But we have a company who says they can do it better, and we're going to give them an opportunity. And if they do, hooray for the city.
That's fine. Bring the company in. But I'm saying all the departments within here should be doing this. We should be considering this. Shared services, just doing it.
It's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. Right. And why aren't we doing something?
We're trying. We're trying.
You're bringing someone in.
Yes, we're bringing somebody who says they can do it better. And if they can do it better,
has someone within the city been doing this?
We've been trying. We've entered as many agreements as we possibly can, shared services and agreements with other towns. So, they say they can do a better job. We're going to give them an opportunity. And hopefully, if it's more savings, it's good for the city.
Thank you. Motion, please.
I make a motion with someone else had to.
I'm sorry. Yes, please come up. I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand originally.
Oh, okay. I thought I mentioned that. Maybe I wasn't as clear as I should have been. Okay, as I said, we do have 2 purchasing agents. One would think that would be part of their job. And also, Councilman Armstead, you were talking about consortiums, but I distinctly remember coming up to the podium and questioning about some of the consortiums we're going to be part of. So I don't know what other consortiums we can be part of. I mean, I know there are some out there, but we're already participating in some consortiums for cost savings, and I guess we should do more of that. And I wonder, aren't we restricted, though, to certain vendors? I mean, I shouldn't say we, because I'm not really part of the government, but I mean, the government is restricted to certain vendors. It's not like in the private sector where you can go out and purchase from just anybody.
Correct.
So will they be taking that into account also? I mean, they can't, you can't purchase from company A, let's say, because it's not a state vendor, but company B may not be the best company. How does that work out?
Well, the hope
Mr.
is...
Brown? Mr. Armstead?
I was going to say, the hope is, I mean, like, again, the company, the money that this company makes will be based on the savings they provide the city. Now, again, we haven't seen any savings from this company yet, so we basically have to give them an opportunity and see what they can do. I mean, a year from now, we'll know exactly how much they've saved us.
How did this company come to our attention?
Well, I don't, Alexis, who recommended this company? How'd they come to our attention?
When we were meeting with the Budget Committee, we had a meeting with Adam Zellner, who is also Greener by Design, our grants person. And through the Budget Committee and the efforts of Greener by Design, we were able to meet with this company, Opera Solutions. They have over 100 PhD analysts that this corporation has at their fingertips that are able to analyze the specific data of our spend. And by doing that for the first round of their procurement, they were able to analyze specific areas where they feel that they're definitely going to be able to save us a significant amount of money. One of the major areas that Councilman Koziel and his committee are working on is addressing our IT and our infrastructure, which are antiquated. Councilman Brown brought this up last year on the Budget Committee, along with Councilman Koziel. This is going to be a significant expenditure that the city is going to have to make within this year and next year. By having this firm available, they're going to be able to save us a significant amount of cost for to provide that IT services. So they feel, again, that they have all the experts and they've been able to analyze the data. And there was other areas also, possibly in fuel, but really the main area that we felt that they could be the biggest supporter would be for IT. And Councilman Brown had explained earlier how we met with the Budget Committee and we had brought Opera Solutions in. They also are doing other areas. They're a Jersey City minority-based firm, and they've done spend data for major corporations as well as now with municipalities.
Okay, and this just deals with the procurement issues, right?
Yes, they assist with the procurement, and also they look at, again, if the IT committee is making a certain recommendation for certain IT areas, they would assist the committee in looking and making sure that maybe the possibility of virtualization is something we need to look at. Right now we have certain servers. I'm not an IT expert, but I know Councilman Koziel and Councilman Brown both would be able to assist on any questions dealing with IT. But we feel that this company has the experts that we're going to be able to save a significant amount of money.
Councilman Brown, do you wish to make a comment?
Yeah. I mean, and the purchasing is just one aspect. They also analyze, and you know how people come up and question the amount. Oh, there it is. They question the vendors that we use. They also analyze the vendors. So it's like, all right, let's say you spent $300,000 on this vendor, blah, blah, blah. So they're looking at the goods that we're purchasing, but then also the services that we're utilizing as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is public record, but I mean, you see here, I mean, this isn't just a matter of just bar graphs. I mean, they really dug in to the details of the city. And one of the issues, again, is technology, and why we keep saying that is, and we talked about it briefly yesterday, is a lot of our equipment here in the city is Microsoft XP or Microsoft Office 2003. I want to say within the last week or so, Microsoft has come up and said that starting 2012, they're going to stop supporting that. Also, it's come to some of our attention that, for instance, our police department, their computers are so old that some of the software that we've bought, they can't even run on there. So, I mean, like I said, that's just one area. But, I mean, like I said, right here, this is a page of the top 22 vendors the city uses. And they said, all right, this is how much you guys are spending. And they can find areas where we can reduce that. So whether it's a law firm, whether it's a technology firm, you know, on the vendor side, they were analyzing that as well.
Okay. I also would think, though, maybe we should also consider having a personnel audit of where we can save money in our personnel. That's another thing we should consider, along with the procurement thing. I think this is a good idea, but I don't think we go far enough. We need personnel audits. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion for 2012-181.
I move Resolution 181 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbis.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
No.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 2012-187, Pat Hero.
Didn't know I was going to be next up again. I wouldn't have sat down. I'll batch 187 and 188 because it's basically the same question. Why do we need two public defenders?
When you have a case in a municipal court that has multiple defendants that are assigned public defenders, you need different public defenders for each of them because their interest may be divergent, so there may be conflicts among defendants. They have to hire different attorneys. So we have one public defender that we have on staff where conflicts arise or where there's reasons that the regular public defender cannot defend them. We have an RFQ list with two firms approved on it, the Jahala firm and the Alfonso firm, that we appoint from for alternate public defenders when needed.
Okay, that's, I guess, obvious. It just wasn't obvious from just seeing that one name that there would be multiple defendants in that case. So thank you, Mr. Hudak. I appreciated that.
Thank you. Motion on 2012-187 and 2012-188.
I move Resolution 187 and 188 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbis.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 2012-189, Mrs. Malik.
Can you just briefly review what will this voluntary furlough program consist of?
Mr. Roth.
Very, very briefly, if we implement a voluntary furlough program, we have to get it approved by it's a automatic approval by the state. Basically, a voluntary furlough program says that if an employee wants to take unpaid time off, they can do that. The reason to pass the plan and get it approved by the state is it doesn't affect their pension. So although we don't pay them, they're still paying out of their paycheck the same amount of pension, so they don't lose any time.
I think more specifically, what exactly will be the actions? I mean, how much time are they going to be asked to take off?
This is voluntary. We're not asking them to do anything. They come to us and say, we
Okay.
want to take time off.
I got you. All right, thank you.
We have a motion on 2012-189.
I move Resolution 189 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbis.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
No.
Sheehy.
No.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. We had a resolution added. It's numbered 2012-192. Pat Hero.
First of all, I think we should put off 192 until next month, mainly because I do not particularly like resolutions being proposed from either council members or like it is here, just on the spur of the moment without it being written down. Doesn't give us time to ask questions, doesn't give members of the council really time to even think about it. It seems very important what was talked about. It was the first time we actually heard the resolution. So I think we should put it off till next month, and then we can have further discussion, which I think is always good. for the public and always good for the council members so they can think about this and really consider it, as it is very important what was being said there. Thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Mrs. Crosby Hurling, you have a reply to that?
Yeah, Ms. Hero. This was actually presented to the council a month ago, and we were asked to take a look at it, and it was through Councilman Brown. We've had it for a month, and it was just revisited last night because the council president, I mean, there's some issues, as those of you who do attend the caucus meetings, some things are enforced and some things are not, and then there's some notions that are taken by the council president of what he can and cannot do. So I think it's important that we have something on paper that he should, be asked to follow. Somebody else will probably elaborate more, but this is important. It's not like we never saw this, Ms. Hero. We had this last month, all of us, and we were asked to consider it. And the majority of us asked that it come up tonight on the agenda.
The council president was asked to follow.
The council president walked out of a meeting that was not adjourned according to the policy or the procedures that currently exist.
Mrs. Crosby Hurling, I have to disagree with that the meeting was concluded.
Council President.
Pat Hero, you have the floor.
I believe Mr. Armstead was going to say something?
Yes,
Is that
I
correct?
would like to say something, Council President,
I
if
think
I may.
Councilman Brown was in front of me.
Councilman Armstead.
Councilman.
Since 2000.
Hold on, Mr. Brown. I
Since-
asked
since,
Councilman Armstead, I had the floor.
Since Mr. Moore, Council President Moore, has been elected, there has been a concerted effort to hijack his authority. There are some who just can't take the fact that this man will not bow, this man will not toe the party line, this man thinks independently, and he is determined to move the city forward. Now, there are others who feel like they want to do and act, present resolutions and do anything they think is necessary to further their agenda. Again, we have a resolution that's being introduced, and again, it's nothing more than an effort to hijack the authority from the council president. I don't know if there was an article in the paper a couple days ago, and the article really has cause for a lot of concern, and that is the gist of this particular action, believe it or not. And unfortunately, and I know there's a lot to the article, but the article starts out, the head of the Linden Democratic Organization is looking at all his options. Okay, this is the head of the Democratic Organization looking at his options, okay? It goes on further to mention the person who is the head is Christopher Hudak. We got Christopher Hudak's father is the attorney, okay? So basically, we are engaged in a little political infighting, this governing body here. We have people who, for years, thought the council presidency and the way things were run were fine. But now that someone else other than themselves controlled it, they feel that it is necessary to change the way that we conduct our meetings. And that's it in a nutshell. That's all I have to say about that.
Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then you can speak.
First issue, again, this was brought up over a month ago. To make the correlation that it has something to do with an article is wrong. I mean, the rules came out before that. Obviously, one has nothing to do with the other. It's the rules of the council. Basically, there's nothing written in stone. There's nothing written. It's all verbal, and if you see month after month when a hot topic issue comes up, you see they're arguing back and forth on council and behind the scenes. There's nothing set in stone, and most, if not, I shouldn't say all, that's the generalization, but when you have a governing body, you need something written down. There's nothing written down. It's not taking authority away from one individual or the other. It's very simple. What happens is that this agenda is put through by one person, but yet you need 11 people to vote on it, or I'm sorry, 12 people to vote on the agenda. Nevertheless, it doesn't happen. This is a policy to create more openness, to get more input from the department heads and then from the council members. So when you have an engineering bill, we have residents that keep coming up asking us questions, right? Let's say it's an engineering bill. That bill should be coming from the department head to the engineering committee, and the committee works out the kinks out of that bill. The questions that you guys bring up, all right, let's address that. What happens now is that everything gets filtered to the clerk's office. It gets put on the agenda by one individual. We come on Monday, we have all these questions. A lot of that stuff can be prevented if we get these ordinances beforehand, or we're better prepared and we all have more input into it. To have one person saying, I'm going to put this item on and remove it, that's not democracy. I mean, you come up every month, talk about democracy. You have members here who are not even being allowed to be part of the process. So this is one, a reza designed to have our rules written down. These are rules that we follow now, but last night, like the councilwoman mentioned, yesterday was an issue where, if you want to say it was confusion, whether the meeting closed. The majority of the council members did not adjourn the meeting. So 8 of us stayed to still talk about city business. In this, Rezo, item number 5 addresses that issue. There was confusion. Where the council president says meeting adjourned, all the ayes, but never had any nays. You tell me, where have you ever heard that you don't, when you do a vote, you don't have the ayes and you have the nays? So I understand what you're saying, but again, this was brought out last month. We need something in writing because we don't have anything in writing. And it's not taking power away from anybody else or another. This is the democracy. You need everyone included in the process.
Thank you. Mr. Sharpie?
Mr.
Can I
President.
just finish?
May I just add something to that? Again, you know, we had a meeting last night, and there's the allegation that the meeting wasn't closed, and some say it was closed. But in short, the meeting had digressed into a let's get Jimmy Moore type of thing. You know what I mean? It was like we had a council member basically referring to this article in the Central Jersey newspaper here, referring to comments that the council president made in the article. And to me, that just wasn't city business, and I felt the council president felt it wasn't city business. And then we had council members giving sanctimonious, self-righteous criticism to the council president about comments that were allegedly made in this article. And at that point, you know, he basically said, hey, listen, I'm going to adjourn this this meeting. So, and again, you know, again, excuse me, Mrs. Cosby. Okay. Again, we go back to January of 2011, where the efforts to dilute the council president's power were brought out in one of our first meetings, where it was alleged that how come the duly elected council president should be elected by the members of the governing body. However, the man was elected by the people of the city of Linden. So he was basically going to try to void an election. And again, it says Councilman Peter Brown Jr., Democrat, brought up the issue shortly after he was sworn in office last year. Brown contacted Union County Board of Elections. Okay, so we have a situation here where power is basically being trying to be wrestled away from the council president, who doesn't really toe the party line. And we have, some of us have problems with that.
Council President?
I have Mr. Sharpie next.
She got finished. Can I finish?
All right, finish, please. 3 minutes is...
Again, I would like to see this postponed for another month. Yeah, I understand that there are issues with regard that things that happen in the caucus, and I'm also well aware that at one budget meeting I attended, it was amazing. There was one person that just wasn't there. His name was Councilman Peter Brown. And you know what the funny thing was about that meeting? Everybody said, boy, didn't this meeting go so smoothly? Yeah, I mean, everybody said that. Not just the people you'd suspect would say that, but everybody kind of agreed, yeah, this was a great meeting, wasn't it? Budget meeting I was at. Now, of course, he's Mr., as I said in a previous thing, Council President James Moore is our Rudolph. He won't play your political games. And so maybe you do want to get a majority. But if you consider democracy that important, let's put it off for a month. Let's have the public see the resolution, and let us, see whether we like it or not, and then vote on it, okay? So we can put it off. I can
Council President?
They read it, Ms. Hero. They read
Council
the whole
President?
thing.
Thank you,
Some
Ms.
read it,
Hero.
but they're different
Ms. Hero.
learners. Some see it, things kinesthetically, some see it visually, and some hear it. I think we can put this off safely for another month, and
Thank
then
you
we
for
can
your
make
point.
a determination. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking
Council
to it.
President?
Thank you for your time.
point.
Council
Mr.
President?
Sharby, you're next.
Ignore us again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was witness to this last night. Now, you elect every one of these officials up here.
You're tough.
And that resolution, would you like to repeat it? And who is excluded in this resolution? A person from the law department? Joe, can you read it again?
Which section?
This resolution.
Number 1, resolutions and ordinances shall be in writing, a copy of which shall be given to each council member prior to its introduction. All proposed resolutions and ordinances will be discussed at the conference meeting for consideration at the regular meeting or special meeting as the case may be. Thereafter, no further resolutions or ordinances on introduction presented by any committee or department will be considered at the regular council meeting unless specifically authorized by a majority of the council members present. Notwithstanding the foregoing, nothing in this provision will prevent any council member from making a motion or from presenting a verbal resolution during a regular council meeting pursuant to the council rules of parliamentary procedure. Members of council shall be seated at the council dais for the council meeting at the pleasure of the council president. 2, the council meeting agenda for the regular meeting shall include all resolutions and ordinances for introduction which have the support of a majority of council as expressed at the conference meeting. Any member of the council may, if he or she so chooses, prior to the adoption of the resolution of the agenda, request that an item contained herein be independently considered and shall be voted on separately. 3, all proposed resolutions and ordinances requested by any department will be forwarded by the respective city department to the council committee overseeing said department, which shall forward same to the clerk for inclusion on the conference meeting agenda for consideration by the council. The foregoing shall not apply to the law department, which shall forward all matters for consideration directly to the clerk for inclusion on the conference meeting agenda. 4, all proposed resolutions and ordinances requested by any department and forwarded by respective city departments to the council committee overseeing said department shall forward the clerk 1 week prior to the conference meeting. Any matters not received by such time will not be considered until the following month's conference meeting unless same is requested due to exceptional circumstances by the appropriate committee and the full council agrees to consider same. 5, all meetings of the city council may be adjourned upon a motion duly seconded and approved by a vote of the majority of council members. If such motion fails to obtain a majority vote, the meeting will continue until a subsequent resolution is approved, adjourning the meeting. 6, all resolutions or parts of resolutions which are inconsistent with the provisions of this resolution are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. 7, the resolution shall take effect pursuant to law.
Wasn't one part in there excluding law department?
Yes.
Why is the law department excluded?
Council
The
President?
law department is excluded because all of the departments go to their committee, and their committee then forwards the resolutions and ordinances to the law department, which sends them down. It would be redundant to send them back to the same committee that just sent them up to the law department. The law department answers to the entire council, not to any particular committee.
Mr. Clerk, could you tell us the day-to-day operations of putting together the agenda, the mundane things that you receive from department heads?
Resolutions come in from the departments, from the committees, and they're placed into a folder, and then we proceed to organize them and number them and write synopsises of them.
And then toward the end of the month, we review those. Is that correct?
Yes.
Council President?
So would you say I present the agenda, I prepare the entire agenda, or it's done automatically through the normal course of business?
Most of it's done automatically. However, on occasions, you have removed items from the agenda.
Thank you.
Council President?
Councilman Brown.
Thank you. All right. 1, the item here And I asked any council member, explain to me where it removes any power. I mean, item number 4, one issue that always gets brought up is that resolutions and ordinances get brought up to the clerk's office the day that, the day of them being sent out. You look under item number 4, it's requesting that they get it a week prior. Again, that helps council members be better prepared in regards to the items that we're voting on. Again, when it talks about the majority of council members, again, everyone becomes more involved in the process. Just like the clerk just mentioned, is one individual placing items on or removing it. So,
Excuse me, Mr. Brown. He just indicated that the department heads in a routine matter present the agenda, put the agenda together.
Now, in addition, is that you have members, whether it's anyone here, can ask for an item to be placed on the agenda. Like I said, this was over a month ago. And again, this gets ignored. And the majority of council members may want to talk about this or put it on. But it's just one individual saying yes or no. If we're talking about democracy, everyone needs to be involved in the process. And a simple straw vote, you're saying, listen, do I want this on? Yes or no. That's all this is.
Mr. Brown, you must know that if a majority of the council wishes to put a resolution on the floor, as you did tonight, you are. So there's a process for that. I think this has merit in some of the case number 4 where the department head should get the resolutions to the clerk for a week prior to the meeting and not to be surprised. But I think it's out of line, and we should have more time to look at this.
Mr. President?
Councilwoman Yudakis.
Yes, I'd like to state, we went down this dais tonight. We heard about Linden's 150th anniversary. Our charter's 117 years old, okay? Our forefathers and mothers wrote this government so it would run by process. They must be rolling in their graves seeing what's going on here. This is a disgrace, okay? Many of us, as Councilman Kaczynski had mentioned, we're here to represent Linden. You don't hear any of us pulling politics. We need this resolution. We need some decorum here already. We need some guidelines. I work with preschoolers who act better than many of these council members. This is a disgrace, and it needs to stop. Linden taxpayers deserve better. We need to have decorum in these meetings, as many of us witnessed even here tonight. Some of us are ignored when we want to speak. Is that right? We all are here representing our wards. We're the voice for our neighbors, our residents. We need to have some guidelines obviously established. So I say we need to pass this resolution. It needs to stop already. We can't go in. We have a budget we need to introduce. This nonsense, we need some guidelines, some rules and regulations that we have to follow. This can't go on. I get calls from my residents about this.
Council President.
Certain people are allowed to come up here. For example, tonight, we were mentioning a political party. That nobody received the gavel. If I did that, if certain other people did that, we'd be getting the gavel here. It needs to stop. We need this resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Yudakis. I want to say for the record that I inherited the present procedures, and when I asked the city attorney an opinion, virtually the answers come back, traditionally we do it this way. So there is not a lot of codified rules and regulations, so that's why I started to discuss possibly a charter change for the town into the Faulkner Act. We're a strong mayor, business administrator, and a reduction of council members to 5. So I'm going to explore that.
Council President.
And Mr. Kopechny, would you come up, please?
Okay, I'm going to take a little bit different point of view. I would certainly like to go on record as recommending that we do table this until next month, and it's me. I've heard this resolution twice, and I look at it and I say the amount of detail in it, and maybe I learn better by reading it instead of by just hearing it. I'm not opposed to the idea of codifying some sort of procedures, as Mrs. Yudakis brought out. It's more just a matter of, I think I would like to look at this thing and say, hey, if you're all prepared to vote on it this week, fine, go ahead. But I would like to recommend, you're asking for faith of having all your stuff written down ahead of time, but if maybe the office had it all written up for us and passed out on the table earlier, I wouldn't even be standing here. I'd say, yeah, go ahead. My thoughts, that's all.
I never appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Roshana Cosby Hurley.
I'm just going to say this, and then I'm going to ask for a vote on the resolution. Again, we asked for this last month. We were presented with it in caucus. The recommendation was made, you know what, we just got this tonight. Why don't we all take it and look it over and have it for next month? Unfortunately, when there are items held over from next month, they're never brought back up. And that's unfortunate. So to have the rules in front of you a month in advance, what's wrong with that? And Mr. Kopecki, you want to get a better look at the resolution, but let me just say this. Whether it's on the agenda, a synopsis or not, it was read twice in its entirety, which is one better than we get every month for the whole list of resolutions. So we need to move forward, and if our committee person or the committee chairperson can get the information a week in advance, that's what we need. We have questions, and we need to make sure that we have the information in advance. There are many things, personnel and finance last month, we didn't get the actual information until that night, Monday night, the night before we were supposed to vote on it. That just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to ask that we adopt Resolution 192 and ask for a second.
Mr. President, can I make one more comment, please?
Second.
Mr. Olmsted?
There's a motion on the floor.
Thank you, Mr.
That was
President.
seconded.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President?
Again, I want to just make mention to how this resolution came about. Again, yes, we did talk about it last month, but last night, during our council caucus meeting, there was a bit of confusion. Again, that confusion started with one of the council members questioning what was said in a newspaper article, okay? The meeting was called to be adjourned, and for some ungodly reason, we were unsure whether the meeting was adjourned or not. I thought it was adjourned, but a certain council member said, okay, that's the way you want to act? That's why we're going to put this resolution on tomorrow.
Thank you.
That's the way this thing came to, that's the way it came about and that's why it's on the agenda tonight, because someone was upset last night and they behaved like a child, for lack of better words, and said, okay, that's the way you want to act, I'm going to make sure we put a resolution on tomorrow to more or less take your authority. Thank you.
Mr. Frazier. Councilman Frazier?
Thank you. We've had two of our citizens come forward and indicate that this resolution should be tabled. And quite frankly, I agree with both of them. It should be tabled. All right? I think at this particular time, sure, I've heard that it was mentioned a month ago, but quite frankly, it was not on our major sheet, and the resolution was laying when I came here tonight. So quite frankly, I'd like to digest it further, and I think if we try to vote on this, we're doing an injustice to you, and that's not right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Again, my point is that I probably learned better by reading it instead of just taking faith, and, you know, you guys have asked for just that advantage. That's exactly what you want. You want it written down ahead of time, and you're telling us, okay, go ahead.
Council President.
Councilman Cozio.
I appreciate your understanding of my point.
Thank you.
I'll defer to Councilman Brown.
Councilman Brown.
So now that we agree, everyone understands it, I'm hoping that the council now reads it for the month, because again, this was presented over a month ago, and there's members that are acting like they've seen this out of nowhere. So I'm just asking for the council again to read this, and let's get some rules and regulations written down. So going forward.
Council President.
Councilwoman Roshana Cosby Hurley.
I make a motion that we move Resolution 192, and I ask for a second for the second time.
Second.
To move
There was already a
resolution
pending motion.
192.
In spite of what the,
No, because this was the second time I asked. It was seconded by Councilman Brown. This time it was seconded by Councilman Sadowski.
and the public has no
No,
effect upon it.
because you know why? The disservice is being done to the public by telling them, I had it last month, but I didn't even look at it. We all got it last month. If you didn't look at it, shame on you.
There's a motion on the
It didn't come
floor.
up last night.
There's a motion on the floor.
Got to vote on it.
Mr. Kalbas.
Who seconded it?
Mr. Sadowski.
I second.
The second time.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Kalbas.
I want to move it to table it for one more month.
You have to vote first.
Okay, since we're all confused now, I'm moving to table it, but there's already a motion on the floor, so I have to vote it down, then it has to come, another motion has to come back?
The motion on the floor takes precedence over...
Motion to table takes precedent over the motion?
No, the other motion is second in a roll call. You can't bring a motion to table once you have a motion pending. The motion to table would have to have been before the prior motion.
So then it would have to be voted down.
I abstain.
Correct.
That's your option, ladies and
Mr.
gentlemen.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
No.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
No.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
No.
Kaczynski.
No.
Mr. Moore.
No. And I just want to clarify my vote by saying that we can't piecemeal the rules. I inherited absolutely no rules. They were suspended, and the charter that we are under is pretty tough to work. John. And I'm going to ask for citizens to look into a charter change. Thank you.
Mr. President, hold on one second, please.
Council President?
Wait, we have a conference with the...
Council President?
Yes, sir.
The motion is 5-5 with one abstention under the rules. The abstention would count as a yes vote, therefore the motion passes.
Thank you. We're going to move into council in order to take into consideration public input into proposed ordinance. We'll allow 3 minutes for each individual to speak on ordinance on first reading. Council will not answer any questions, and everybody is reminded that public hearing on these ordinances will be held next month council meeting. Does anybody wish to?
I have to read it before we go ahead and...
We'll go by the list.
Ordinance 5624, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration and Chapter 15 Streets and Sidewalks shall be amended as follows. Chapter 2 Administration, delete subsections 2-69.1 D, F, G, I, and J, and add subsections as follows. 2-69.1 small d, codified zoning booklet, $35. 2-69.1 F, zoning map, City of Linden, $10. 2-69.1 G, land development ordinance booklet, $20. 2-69.1 I, tax map, $10. 2-69.1 J, city map, $10. Chapter 15, streets and sidewalks, delete subsection 15-2.3, add subsection 15-2.3 fees as follows. Curb permit, $20 plus $1 per linear foot. Sidewalk permit, $20 plus 50 cents per square foot, but no fee less than 8 linear feet of sidewalk. Street excavation permit, $50 plus $3 per square foot for openings greater than 25 square feet.
Any public comment on this ordinance? Motion?
Mr. President, I move 5624 for introduction and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Kozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5625.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration, Article 4 Department Established, Section 2-12 Department of Police, delete 2-12.10 small d, rates of compensation, administration fees, payments for services, and Section 3 in its entirety. Add new Section 2-12.10 small d, rates of compensation, administration fees, payments for services, Section 3 as follows. If a patrol car is requested by a person in connection with a police-related activity, the person shall pay $10 per hour per vehicle required.
Thank you. Public comment on this? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move for an introduction, request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Kozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5626.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on Street as follows. This ordinance is deleting 44 spaces. The complete list is on file in the city clerk's office.
Public comment? Motion, please.
I move for the introduction of ordinance 5626 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Kozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5627.
Refunding bond ordinance providing for the refunding of certain general obligation bonds in an amount of $2,200,000.
Public comment? Anybody wishes? Motion, please.
Move for an introduction and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Kozio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. We're going to move into public comment. Did everybody get a chance to sign a sheet to speak? Thank you. Cynthia Cosby Woods.
Good evening. I just have a question on Resolution 2011-233 approved on June 22nd, 2011, which was the nepotism policy. Whose idea was it to add, to exclude only the council member's family from
Council
being
President.
able to, I just need to know. Whose idea was that?
Councilwoman Rashana Cosby Hurling.
It was the mayor.
Just the council?
The mayor was adamant, and we've gone over this with the mayor several times. He said, in no uncertain terms, should members of elected officials' family be allowed to hold city jobs. And he elaborated, because his position was, as he was a councilman, he sat by and watched, different elected officials give their children, their nieces and nephews, whoever, positions, and that he held the position that he had no family in Linden that was looking for employment. The position that I took, as myself and Councilman Brown actually worked on the nepotism policy, was that, okay, we'll give you that with the caveat that if any of my family members or your family members wanted to have a city position, they would have to test for it. And then we all know what happened after that.
And the test, it said on the original a civil service test, but a test is a test. If you give someone a test, that means that's what they need to take to qualify for that job. It may not be a civil service test.
Can I say something to your civil service point, though? The mayor is holding on to his
Through the
list.
chair, Councilwoman.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was still talking. Can I talk to her?
Yes.
Okay. The mayor's holding on to his list, as he calls it. However, because it's not a civil service position, it should not be a list. Once someone is appointed or is hired for the position, I understood the position is filled, all applications go away based on our hiring policy, which clearly says no application is going to be received in advance and no applications are going to be held after the position is, or the person is hired.
Now, how do we go about getting either everybody covered under this nepotism policy, whether they work for Linden as a council member or as a captain in the police department, or how do we get that fixed? What do I need to do? Do I need to pound the pavement and get a petition signed to get that removed to either say council and anyone that's related, or nobody at all? How do I get that done?
Councilwoman Rashana Cosby Hurley, have a comment for that?
Yes, when we initially started, our concern was that we have fathers supervising daughters and sons and husbands and wives working in the same department. I actually polled all of the departments and I got all the information from every department except for one. You do have people who work in the same department. The trick was that as long as they don't supervise one another, it was okay. I'm sorry, did I say, to be honest, that's the way the policy was written, that as long as there's no direct line of supervision, however,
That's nepotism to me.
It's definitely nepotism, and
because you wouldn't be my boss if I worked in the department, because you're only a council person.
You're right.
Okay. And my last, I just wanted to bring that to the Linden residents, that the mayor set that up to have council people only, which is very discriminative. And another question I have, I guess, to the engineering department. I had 2 months ago, I guess, maybe 3, I requested someone to come look at the drainage that was blocked. And no one, they came out once, looked at it, and that was it. I don't need 7 on my side, do I?
May I, Council President?
Yes, ma'am.
Please don't call 7 on your side. I have to say that in the engineering department, which was obvious tonight, and unfortunately, he's short of people. Somebody just resigned, someone else is out sick, so unfortunately, they don't have the staffing to get it, but I will speak to the department
We're
head.
supposed to get a lot of rain.
I know.
It's like coming, it has nowhere to go. And I didn't even realize it until someone else brought it up about their yard.
30 seconds.
I'll make sure that Mr. Pershing gets
Thank
back to you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Paul Sharpie?
Thank you, Chief, for giving me that information on the school signs. And I don't know whether I'll bring it before the next school starts, but these signs are required by state, you know, in front of schools, public schools, drop-off zones for buses and everything. And also for the police department, slow down, speed limit signs, fines higher, especially here on Wood Avenue. You ought to see it in the morning. You know, they're going through there 35, 40 miles an hour, right in front of the school. No sign saying slow down, 20 miles an hour. God forbid if a crossing guard ain't there and the kid just juts out, he's history. You know, and this is a requirement that all schools have these signs, you know, throughout the city, but I guess we'll have to first go to the Board of Education first, then come back to you. You know, all cities throughout the whole state have these signs in front of their schools. And here in Linden, we don't. The whole school district does not have state signs, school bus drop-off zones. Only city around here, and probably in Union County. That's all. And the other agenda is, for me, like President Moore there, it's time to change, Linden. It's time to change. And I need 4,320 signatures of registered voters. So within the next 2 elections, the primary election,
For what, sir?
and to change the charter here in the city of Linden.
And you could also do it with a majority of council.
Are you leading the witness?
Being
No,
informative.
I'd rather get the signatures and let the voters decide. If they want change, here's the chance to change Linden. And the next 2 elections, I got 9 people on my thing to go along with me. And I'll have 10 people at the voting as the residents walk in to vote in the next 2 elections. And I'm sure I can come up with 4,000.
Thank you.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
Pat Hero?
Pat Hero, Wheat Chief Road. You know, 8 years ago, I stepped to the podium for the very first time. The only ones that were here from that evening of the City Council is Councilman Armstead, Councilman Frazier, and then Councilman, now Mayor Grabunka. Boy, what we have seen since that time period. First of all, the mayor said he wants more volunteers. That's kind of what I want too, except I want more volunteers to come to the City Council meetings. It's really not all that bad. You come here, you give your opinion. City Council really has to listen to it. They can ignore your phone calls, but they can't really ignore you standing up here at the podium. And it's important. It's important for everybody's voice to be heard. Yeah, there are some regulars here, and God knows I'm so grateful for the regulars, but there are a lot of other people whose voices are just as important as ours, and they need to be heard too. And they should come here and make their voices heard. This is a community, and it's a community, and it doesn't work for any of us unless it works for all of us. So I want to say that. I also want to say that I'm going to change my speech a little from what I was going to say because of some things that happened tonight. Don't know whether it was Dante or John Milton, but I'm going to paraphrase that quote. The hottest places that is reserved in hell are for those who abstain. Now, sometimes you need to abstain. Obviously, if the minutes are read and you weren't at that particular meeting or you weren't on council then, you have to abstain. But sometimes abstaining is just a bad idea. And Councilman Colibus, it was a very bad idea tonight. You had a good idea at first. You wanted to table it. And that would have been great. But then you should have voted no on it. You shouldn't have abstained. Because the minute you had abstained, I had been at these meetings long enough to know what was going to go down. And by you abstaining and everybody else voting the way they did, your abstention would have given them the option of what they wanted. Very, very bad idea. And I don't like abstaining because, let's face it, you're not on council to abstain generally. Obviously, if court cases are going on between 1 or 2 of you, yeah, you may have to abstain on 1 or 2 issues. But generally, you're on council to make decisions, not abstain from them. We can sit it out. You can't. Remember that. And as I said about 192, kind of reminded me of Nancy Pelosi's comment about the health care bill. We have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. Well, I guess we passed the resolution so the public can find out what's in it. But I don't like what's in it, because thanks to Councilwoman Cosby Hurley, I got a copy of it. I think we should have put it off for another month. It wouldn't have hurt us. You know, back in the day, we operated under Robert's Rules of Order, Robert Bunk's Rules of Order. No one argued about Bob Bunk's Rules of Order. Nobody knew what they were. It wasn't argued about Robert's Rules of Order, it was Robert Bunk's Rules of Order. But nobody had a problem then. But now we have our Rudolph, Council President James Moore. And we don't like him because he doesn't play the political games. And so we want to have a majority of the council decide things right, because we just don't like Mr. Moore. He's not one of us. He doesn't think like a normal Democrat. No, he thinks like a Democrat for the people, and we can't have that now, can we? Oh, excuse me, this is the public portion, Councilman Brown.
No politics.
Okay, so I'll speak and you listen, and then you can speak and I'll listen. But after I'm finished speaking, okay? Because you've been known to hijack my speeches. And you can hijack caucus meetings, and you can hijack council meetings, but you're not hijacking my public portion.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Oh, gee, I've got 1 whole minute. So I think I'm just going to use that. Because I'm just tired. You know, let's face it. The public's on to you, Councilman Brown. You're very disruptive in these meetings, and people need to know that.
Little decorum here.
Well, he is. I hate to say that, but like I said, I went to a budget meeting, and everybody said, "Oh, didn't this meeting go so smoothly?" Because he wasn't there. Now, I don't mean to be insulting, but I'm just saying there's a time and place for everything. And sometimes issues are brought up like this, for example, 191, which was pulled. You argue about the budget, and yes, do we have $5,000 to spend on attorney's fees when we have so many other pressing issues? That's what I don't understand, priorities. Sometimes I think your priorities are a little bit out of whack. Yeah, I appreciate it, but you're so scattershot about some things that I just think maybe you should listen. There's a lot of people out there that really think that maybe you should just focus on certain areas. There's so many things I know you want to do.
Thank you.
But let's focus on certain things first, and then we can take care of the rest. Thank you for your time.
Patty Murgo.
Rose, can I please know how many minutes for public portion?
5. By stopwatch.
I have one too.
I'm at 4:44 now.
Okay. Mayor, council, president, and council. Patty Murgo, 2519 Greer Avenue. First of all, as far as volunteerism, I'd like to thank Folis, Friends of Animal, Linden Shelter. They had a beautiful spaghetti dinner, and I have to thank Councilman Adam, I'm not even going to try it, Adam,
Sinsky.
and I'll never get that. He understands. We had a nice conversation on Saturday, right? He understands. Councilwoman Michelle, thank you for coming out and supporting the animals. We had a lot of residents. We had a lot of volunteers. I know some of you, Rich, I know you would have been there. Sorry, Councilman Rich, I know you would have been there.
We do have 3 rescues, I just wanted.
I know. I know you do. I've seen them. And I thank you for that. And I know if you didn't have your thing, you would have been at this thing with the animals. And I appreciate everyone who came out. It was a beautiful day. May have been cold, but people came out and they ate and they had a good time. Much better than tonight here. And I thank Mr. Armstead for bringing up the article that was in the paper. Linden's officials weigh options over council post discrepancy. First of all, in the article here, there shouldn't make a difference on what party you belong to, independent, Republican, or Democrat. You are all up here elected to serve us, the people out here, the people that are watching TV, and the people that maybe not even voted for you. That is your job. So as far as if you can't handle it, you need to find a way to handle them.
I consider every person in the town to be my employer, and that's what I told the voters.
That's exactly what we are, and unfortunately, according, this is not a very favorable to either to you or to Mayor Gabanka in any fashion, or to anybody else that was listed in here. Because to me,
I'm not in this for a popularity contest.
oh, believe me, you won't win it, don't worry about it.
I said there would be change, and I'm upsetting the apple cart.
You mentioned the Faulkner Act, you and Mayor Gabanka. I want to know which Faulkner Act you want to go to, because we have one that's mayor council. We have one that is the Faulkner Act for small municipality.
Is that a question?
Yes, it is.
I will set up a committee.
And
to
there's one
research
for
that.
mayor, council, and administrator. Now, if you want to go with the one with the administrator, that's going to cost us at least an additional $250,000, $200,000 for the business administrator.
But a business administrator would take over additional responsibilities that are being handled by other people now.
And therefore, we're still going to be paying those people.
We wouldn't need the other people, the business
So
administrator.
you would let go whoever those people, so therefore, we're going to have now other Linden residents without a position because you're going to bring on another
I'm not
business
sure
administrator.
the Linden residents.
would make no difference. There's still people that are making money to support their
Well,
families.
This is to bring order to the town and have a business administrator, a strong mayor, and reduce the council to 5 members.
5 mayors or 6? So 6 council members or 5? According to here, it's 6. It's 6,
So
unless, I mean, I have them right here, all the Faulkner Acts.
Exactly. So the point would be to, this just came up yesterday. The point would be to...
No, this came up on Sunday the 15th, when this article came out. So and actually, this came out back in February of 2011.
So my answer is to form a committee and to research it. It's not the first committee I would be forming.
Is this
Paul
gonna be-
Workmeister is doing the business administrator now.
Okay, but is this the one that's going to be for the Faulkner Act? And actually, the residents should be the one, the taxpayer should be the one to vote yes on this with definition on what the act is and how much it is going to be. And
I
everybody
agree
that's
with
going to
you.
be included on it.
I agree. It will
Well, no,
be-
you didn't agree because...
No, I agree that the citizens will be on the meeting, on the
Well,
committee.
because you also stated to Mr. Sharpie here that it can be upon council to change it.
Can
You
I,
just said that.
can I
Mr. Mayor?
comment, Council President, please?
Yes, sir.
I am strongly in favor of the Faulkner Act, which is a strong mayor and strong business administrator, and less council persons. We have 11 council persons, counting the council president, on this dais. You go to Trenton under the Faulkner Act, you go to Edison under the Faulkner Act, you go to Piscataway under the Faulkner Act, you go to Elizabeth under the Faulkner Act, you go to Rawley under the Faulkner Act,
It
you
is
go to
about
New
35
Brunswick
towns.
under the... Can I
It's about
continue?
35 towns. Go ahead.
Can I continue?
Go right ahead.
All the municipalities, except for 4 in the state of New Jersey, do not handle the Wildwood Act, which the city of Linden is under. The Wildwood Act was in 1897. 1897, we're operating under that charter, which was an antiquated charter, that in 1970, we had a special charter extending the mayor's term for 4 years. And in 1975, we had an elected council president, which was approved by the city clerk in the county and put on the ballot. But again, we are operating a $96 million budget through policymakers, 11 council persons who run by committee, through policymakers that are here part-time, who have family obligations, who have a full-time job, yet a chairman of the Public Works Committee and 2 council members part-time make policy decisions for a $96 million corporation. That is just not feasible in 2012. The Faulkner Act gives the mayor and the business administrator the policy-making decisions and lets council legislate ordinances and money. No different than the governor does with the legislature in Trenton, and no different than the president does with Congress. I cannot, as the mayor of this city that puts in 10 to 12 hours a day, and I challenge anybody to tell me I don't, that I cannot even formulate a budget like the governor does and presents it to the legislature, or like the president does and presents it to Congress. I have no legal right, other than an opinion, to deal with a $96 million budget. It's done by committee. It's done by the Personnel and Finance Committee, and everybody's squabbling, and every year we don't get a budget out till July because you got 11 people inputting on a budget. Under the Faulkner Act, I would be totally responsible for that budget. My name would be on it. I can't point a finger to anybody else. And I present that budget to the governing body, and then they decide from a majority vote whether to approve that budget or a 2/3 vote to modify it. No different than governor does in Trenton, or no different than the president does in the United States of America. We are under an antiquated system. We should not operate with part-time people. We should not have 11 people. Under the strong mayor and administrator, we should have 5 people, 5 councilmen, because we could break up our wards geographically. You look geographically and demographically, the 9th and 10th make a perfect fit, the 1st and 2nd make a perfect fit, the 3rd and 4th make a perfect fit, the 6th and 7th make a perfect fit, and the 5th and 8th make a perfect fit. You could have 5 wards with 2 at-large council persons for a total of 7, which is usually the average under the Faulkner Act, and you could run the government efficiently by doing that. Right now, we're downsizing departments, we're downsizing throughout the city, and it's time we downsize this council, because right now, this council can't even pass a budget until July or August because everybody's quibbling politically. That's why we got to get into the 21st century with a Faulkner Act, Patty.
In your concluding
Mayor,
statement.
first of all, you really need to have a budget presented. That's number one, and since this seems not to happen. And that's number 2, I'm going to give you this paper on the Faulkner Act.
I got it right
Yeah,
here.
you have 1
I
minute.
have it right here.
1 minute.
I'm well aware of the Faulkner Act, and there's 2 ways.
I'm just telling you,
There's 2 ways to get a Faulkner Act. The first way is to have a majority of council pass it so it could go on a budget, and the voters will then approve of the charter, new charter or not. Or the second way is, like Paul says, you get a petition of 20% of the registered voters, which is 3,000 people. And I'm going to try either way to do it, because if there's the one thing I do as the mayor in this city, is we got to get out of this antiquated system where we do nothing but quibble, quibble, and quibble, and get no business done because everybody's politicizing every issue that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I just have one more question for you, Mayor.
Your time's up.
Who do you have in mind for the business administrator? Which friend of yours needs a job?
I don't have any friends, and I don't have any family, Patty, on this job. And just so you know, since you're the expert on the Faulkner Act, once we pass the Faulkner Act, if it's approved by the voters, I got to rerun again. The council president has to rerun again, and we get 5 council persons. I'm willing to do that for the sake of Linden, so that we could have a modern charter to run a $96 million corporation, not a bunch of part-timers with family obligations and full-time jobs.
Council President? Council President?
I challenge you to tell me I put in
Councilwoman
on this job.
You have the floor. Thank you.
Mr. Council President?
Council Rashana Cosby Hurley has the floor.
Thank you. I want to just speak to what was said in a nutshell. The bottom line is the mayor wants to run the city, like, do what I say or else. So the committee form of government worked well when he was a council person. It worked well the first 4 years of his first term. I don't understand, and here's one point that I have to say, and nobody take it the wrong way. If you take and you divide up the city, there are people who are not going to feel as if they are represented. Because I'm sitting here next to a councilman who's sitting next to a councilman whose ward looks the majority like we do. And some people are not going to come out and vote for somebody who's not connected to them or who has nothing, doesn't even live near them. Could you imagine having a council person who lives in Sunnyside, but you live on this side? You're not going to feel like you're related to them in any way or form. And finally, to the mayor, I beg your pardon that part-time, I don't work 15 hours a week. I work way more than the 25 hours that you say that the part-time council people work. Besides coming to the meetings here, I'm in my neighborhood. I do community meetings. We talk to people on the phone. We respond to emails. So don't throw out part-time people. I've taken a pay cut at my job to reduce my hours to ensure that I am available to my neighbors. So when you say part-time, you were part-time, and I thought that you were successful. Don't just, and you're shouting like it's just ridiculous. The people of Linden need to really understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to be, and this is what, I'm just going to quote Councilman Armstead from last night, "Boy, I miss John Gregorio," unquote. So this is what they want to have, and it's with all due respect for Council President Moore. No one wants to take away his authority. When we asked last night to have us look into something that was brought up, and it was in the article, it wasn't because we want him not to have his position. He was elected here. The idea is for going forward. If we don't have anything telling us why he's elected, why shouldn't we elect a council person at large who will represent all of Linden's residents? And it was funny because last night before the council president left the meeting, he
Adjourned the meeting.
He said that he can't, no, there's no time on me, I'm sorry. He said that he doesn't have control over the people, and we were confused about control. We only asked for cooperation. That's it. Derek and I vote on things that we agree upon, and sometimes we don't. Some things with Councilman Kozinski, we agree on certain things that we believe, certain aspects are the same. There's no reason why anyone should want to control people that are working for their neighborhood. What's important to Ms. Judy over there might not be important to you over here, because we live in different areas in different parts of the city.
Thank you.
So with that, I'm just going to say it's too much.
Good night,
Too
sir.
much. They want to control, and that's all it's about, control. Not what's going to be better for the city, because here's the thing. The mayor just blamed the committee, the finance committee that was set up by the council president with the same people for 2 years in a row, and we still don't have a budget. So don't complain about the way the government is, complain about the people who are on those committees.
Councilwoman, I have to tell you that you had some misinformation there. The mayor does not wish to control the city.
That was my
Excuse me.
impression. It wasn't any information that was given to me. This is what I observed.
Let me tell you
He was
the
shouting
facts.
at us.
The
He was
facts
shouting
are.
at the people watching, because he
Councilwoman,
wants to bring, he wants to control
Councilwoman,
the
I'm trying to
city.
straight out some disinformation
You know what?
that you had.
I didn't ask for any response. I was just giving you my opinion.
But
That's all.
that
I
it was
wanted
incorrect.
to do.
So I have to state that the mayor would have to run to become the mayor again.
He said that.
No, he'd have to run
He
again.
said that. He said all of that.
So you said he's looking to be a dictator. The people would have to elect him.
I didn't say dictator.
Council President, please.
Councilman.
Council
Richard-
President.
Mr. Cosio.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to make a few comments in response to Smirgo's comments, and the mayor's, and everything's happened since, practically. Ms. Hero comes up a few months ago, and she gives us lessons in the U.S. Constitution. It's well over 200 years old. It seems to be working fine. It's not antiquated. It seems to be working fine. I'd like to introduce everybody to our former mayors.
Right.
From the left, we have George McGilvery, first mayor of Linden City, Albert Weber, Jules Verner, Miles J. McManus, H. Roy Wheeler, William Hurst, Alexander Wrigley, John T. Gregorio, George Hudak, Paul Werkmeister, and there's a spot reserved for Mayor Gabunka. They operated the city under the Wildwood Act. It flourished. It flourished. We went through depressions. We went through recessions. We went through a world war. We went through ups, downs. They made it work. They made it happen. This is deja vu all over again. We went through this before. Okay? I rarely, if ever, make things political. I have to answer something our fourth ward councilman said tonight. He mentioned a sanctimonious, self-righteous individual. That was me. At the end of the meeting, I had asked, as we go around the table, I asked our council president, we all give a report. You're a member of all the committees. It would be nice for you to give a report. You work hard. Give a report. And he said to me, okay, and it's recorded, I'm going to speak on changing the Linden Charter to the Faulkner Act. And I questioned him and I said, why? Why is it necessary? You've been in office for less than a year and a half. Why is it necessary? And I keep things. A piece of campaign literature from a little over a year and a half ago. With his picture on it, it states the following. I assume it's the two people that ran together. We do not need to change the city's form of government. We must get the one we have to function properly.
Mr. Cozio?
Excuse me.
Mr. Cozio?
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Mr.
Excuse
Cozio,
me.
to answer that,
Well,
if I may.
I'm going to read another paragraph on the back.
Please do, go ahead, go ahead. No shout, no, we'll have to remove.
Be allowed to, please allow me to finish.
I have to have you
You
removed.
allowed Mr.
Mr.
Armstead.
Sharby, you're out of order.
You allowed Mr. Armstead to go on. Allow me.
Take him out.
Oh, it's different now.
They're going to be removed if you don't quiet down.
Throw 'em out. Throw 'em out.
Mr. Council President, may I continue?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I'd like to read a paragraph on the back. There's a paragraph that says serve the people on the back of the same. Linden, quote, Linden has a uniquely localized form of government with 11 council members, 10 selected from small neighborhoods. A centrally controlled dictatorship could be more efficient, but it would not be more democratic and it might not work any better. We do not need to change the form of government. We need to elect leaders who can exert leadership, build consensus, and get results. I suggest, Council President, that we concentrate on those last three initiatives.
And that's
Mr.
what we're
Cozio,
concentrating on.
I got the floor, Mr. Cozio. I see nothing wrong with letting the voters of the city of Linden make the decision. They're our employees. They're the bosses. You know, you say this worked for 150 years. It's 2012. Let them make a decision at the voting booth. We work for them. They have voted up and voted down.
Because this because this doesn't work for this administration? Is that why we have to change?
No, let the voters make the decision. They're in charge. We are not in charge. They're our employers.
What are the reasons? What are the reasons we want to change our form of government? What is the reason for even?
I am looking to explore it. Mr. Kopechny.
Mr. President, I had raised my hand.
I
Again, I was
apologize.
ignored.
Mrs. Yamakaitis.
Okay.
Before Mr. Kopechny. All right, come on.
As Councilman Cozio mentioned, looking up at those pictures, many of them are deceased. They're rolling in their graves. This is a disrespect to their legacy. It's a disgrace. I want to make mention, I'm probably going to be thrown off this committee just like the Budget Committee last year was disbanded, but presently, Councilman Sadowski and I serve on the Business Administrator Ad Hoc Committee. What hasn't been brought forward here tonight is that we run under the Wildwood Act, and the City of Summit, we can have a business administrator. It would be appointed by the mayor with the consent of council and confirmed by council. We can have that. We can straighten some of this out. I support a business administrator, maybe not right now with the budget problems we're having, but we can have that with the current charter.
Going to move on.
Okay? They just don't want to mention that. They want to have a dictatorship. It's present here tonight, as you see. Some of us get ignored. It needs. I urge everyone to let the public know that there are other options. The City of Summit is running fine under that form of government, same as ours.
Can I answer that question, Council President?
Mr. Mayor, you're up.
Yes, Councilwoman, you're correct. We can have a business administrator, but the administrator is only going to be a figurehead because under the Wildwood Act, this government runs by committee. So he couldn't make any policy decisions for any departments without going back to the Councilmatic Committee for their approval. That is what makes this form of government in the 21st century antiquated. You need individuals that could make policy decisions on a daily basis and not get support or support from part-time individuals. That is what's wrong with this form of government.
I beg to differ, Mayor.
Well,
When
again,
the
I don't...
Faulkner Act will happen, we won't have your representatives from your neighborhood, as Councilwoman Cosby had mentioned. Do you want to call someone in Sunnyside? No disrespect, Councilman Krasinski, but but to deal with something in the 5th Ward, the 8th Ward. We're unique.
No,
Our problems are different.
you're
A prime
missing-
example is the medical waste facility. We listened to the 7th Ward. They came out. It fell on some deaf ears. Money was a big issue to some councilmen, but their councilman came out fighting for them. You won't have that anymore. You won't have that neighborhood person. That's your voice. So I urge everyone, go out and speak about this. This is a disgrace what they're looking to do.
That's what I want.
You
We'll
are
get the
missing,
debate on this,
you are
and,
missing the point,
people decide.
Councilwoman. I said that you consolidate 2 wards into 1, which gives you 5 elected ward officials. The demographics and the geographics are there. So your wards will be represented, but you'll have less council persons to argue and politicize.
Council
Mr.
President.
Kopecki.
Council President, can I speak afterwards?
Well, I appreciate being part of the,
You've been
listening
waiting
to-
a long time, so.
Oh, that's fine, I understand. Being, now that you've all been fired up, I'll talk about somewhat of a calmer issue, I hope. And like many of you, I like to hear myself talk, so I'll probably take just as long on a simple issue as some of you all are taking on more important issues. Bob Frazier gave us a very good summary of the walkway that's going to open up around Memorial Day earlier this evening. And I haven't heard anything of it yet, but I would hope that this council would take up, probably we need to it by the next meeting, as one of the regulations for the use of this walkway is that we have no pets allowed. This is a walkway for people. We don't want the wildlife, the nature that we're going to see, end up being scared away by an animal that they're not familiar with. They're going to be scared enough by just seeing us to begin with, but in any event, please guys, think about the fact that you're disturbing their habitat more than they're disturbing our habitat, so please consider a regulation as part of whatever else we're putting in there. No pets, especially if we don't want it to become a dog walk.
There won't be any pets there.
Mr. Frazier?
Just one, thank you for a calm talk. It's like a oasis in the desert. Thank you.
Well,
Mr. Frazier, have a comment on that?
I'm a dog lover, so.
That we're calm.
Okay, thank
Some
you.
of the women I've dated that proves it.
Mr. Brown, in conclusion.
No. I make a motion to close, if there's no more
Second.
comments.
Wait, do you have anybody else on the list?
Anybody else?
No.
Make a
Oh,
motion.
second.
Hold. I thought you had something else. The following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting prior to council meeting Tuesday, April 24th, 2012, 6:30 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, April 24th, 2012 at 7 p.m. Scout Government and Awards meeting in council chambers, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting Monday, May 14th, 2012 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting, Tuesday, May 15th, 2012, 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, May 15th, 2012 at 7 p.m. Scout Government Awards meeting in the council chambers, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
5 and 6.
5 and 6, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Kalbus.
Yes.
Kozio.
Yes.
Brown.
C.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Yamakitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Jablonski,
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes, and good evening, everyone.
The 24th,
What meeting is that?
that's a special council.